Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
I've got some concerns, Olin Buchanan.
What are they?
As I start an awkward intro into the program, my concern is I've seen way more red than maroon. I've seen way more red than any other school here. What do we have here? We've got Baylor here. We've got University of Houston. I haven't seen anybody at University of Houston shirt.
I've seen them one.
Have you?
Yeah.
Coach Sampson. And I've seen very few Aggies, but I've seen some. And I've seen multitude of Nebraska fans. It's 10-1 of them.
Well, you know, this may be balmy weather for them. What else do they have this time of year? I'm not trying to be a wise guy because they're not known for really being great at baseball, right?
Right.
So, and this is their first, you know, they're still looking for their
10 years.
It's been 10 years. They're still looking for their first win. So they're excited about it.
Hey, let me tell the people what show this is. I don't know if they know. They probably accidentally got on here. Welcome into TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio of our hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, downtown Memphis, Tennessee. This is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U. And this roadshow is brought to you by Alpha Paving, an award-winning paving contractor serving Texas, ready to deliver excellent customer service, meticulous project management, and quality workmanship for all of your asphalt and concrete needs. Our projects include retail, office, multifamily, and industrial for notable clients such as the Dallas
Cowboys,
HEB,
Stores,
Gray Star,
Cowboys.
And you can visit them at alphapaving.com. Do you know who works at Alpha Paving?
I know some.
Tell me one or two of the people.
Well, Brandon Leone.
I love, they call him the Prez.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Leone, the Dallas president.
Yeah, he's better than some other presidents.
Yeah, well, and Justin Lanham, big fan of him.
Yeah.
We went to dinner with him last night.
Mm-hmm.
Not first time, but I had elk. I had bison. What else did I have? Do you remember?
I think it was beef, the other one, that Bordeaux.
Yeah. Phenomenal dinner, bro. I'm team gamey. I'm in that team. It was really good.
All right.
You don't care.
It was a good dinner.
It was a good dinner.
But we thank Alpha for paving the way for us to make this trip here.
There you look at you. That's why you could write the headlines. Actually, he doesn't. So back to my point. Concern's probably not the right word. Just something that I've noticed.
Okay. What's that?
What we started the show off with just, and potentially because the drive isn't too bad, we'll see more today. We should, I hope.
Mm-hmm. I would think so. Now, I be honest, I don't expect Aggies to show up for basketball the way Kentucky did, and the way Kentucky did. Their fans showed up, but their team didn't.
In both the SEC tournament and the NCAA.
Well, they just have great fan support for basketball,
yeah,
the same way A&M does for football. But it doesn't translate as much to basketball, even though I think Aggies are interested. It's just you don't have as many that are willing to pay and to travel.
Well, if you're listening to this show and you're considering coming, there's still time, right?
Come on.
Well, how long would they? No, you better leave right now.
You better leave right now.
Leave late.
It's a 5:00 game, unless you live in Texarkana.
Yeah,
then you
can be here quicker. Yeah, but you should leave now because the layout here, I really like it. I was a little worried about Memphis. Last year we got Des Moines. It was cool.
It was cold.
It was very it was more than cool. It was cold. Yeah, the layout here is very nice. FedEx Forum is certainly a nice place. Everything is close. The downtown has felt safe. It's been nice. I hope Aggies show up.
You can walk out of the front of the FedEx Forum and be on Bill Street by foot in about a minute?
Yep.
Maybe less.
Maybe later on in the program. I don't know if we'll bring it up. Maybe we will. Justin Lanham had an interesting walk back to the hotel yesterday. You heard about that, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I think you heard. Did I?
He was walking, and then
he was walking in Memphis with his feet 6 feet off of Bill.
Well, that good line right there. And as he passed an area, apparently somebody just left the building.
Oh yeah, that part.
Not to make a joke
about that.
out
of my mind.
Yeah, sorry for bringing that up. It's Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of the morning by going to texags.com/coffee. By the way, we're here because it's March Madness. Last night, I didn't catch all the games. I don't think you did either. But what makes this so beautiful, part of the reason everybody loves March Madness is you can catch up in the last 2 minutes of a game. You can watch an entire game, and you feel fully invested, especially after games, right? The Kentucky-Oakland game, which was I caught the last 2:25, whatever it was of that game. And watching the coach talk afterward, I forget his name.
I can't remember either.
And the young man who hit the 10 threes off the bench.
Golke.
Yeah, Golke. I like them. Like, I'm rooting for them. Like, you get that they become, you can just join in at any time,
right,
and enjoy the ride.
And the upsets is what makes the tournament.
Yeah.
Right. I remember a few years ago, I guess now it's 5 or 6 years, I was really rooting for Florida Gulf Coast.
Oh,
they
yeah.
went to the Sweet 16. They were a fun story. SFAs was a fun story a couple of years ago. St. Peter's, didn't they knock off Kentucky? This is getting to be a habit for Kentucky.
I think Kentucky's won one NCAA tournament game in 5 years. I think it's the stat I saw.
Wow.
That's not good, is it?
That just doesn't seem right.
No, not for Kentucky. Not for Coach Cal.
God, that's terrible.
Hey, let's run our mouths. Can we do that?
Let's do.
3 things we want to see, brought to you by the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store, where you can find Brooks on Hoka shoes, located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill there in College Station. All right, OB, what are 3 things you want to see this weekend?
Well, first of all, I want to see strong defense at the 3-point line.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Picking them up and making them shoot contested threes, no open threes.
Yep.
Secondly, I want to see A&M continue its hot shooting at the 3-point line, 40% over the last 6 games.
Let's make it 40% over 7 games.
And then I want to see Manny Obaski attacking the rim. He and Boots, but especially Manny, because I think this game just sets up for Manny to have a lot of success, or at least continuing the success that he's had lately in driving to the basket.
I had some really fun interviews in the locker room, and you know how I always talk about Luke, who works for us, Evangelist, always has a smile on his face.
Yeah,
Manny Obaski always has a smile on his face when he's not playing basketball. He can be a bit intense, but like in the locker room when you see him walking around, just a happy kid. I like that guy.
Happy kid, smart kid, very pensive.
Yep.
Yeah, there's and very talented.
Very talented. Here are the 3 things I want to see. Don't play their game. Did A&M play Penn State's game last year?
Absolutely.
Was that a disastrous idea?
Absolutely.
Did they make any changes?
Not that I could see.
Yeah. Don't do that. That's not, and I don't expect them to do that. I understood the why. I didn't agree with the why, but I understood the why. It was the only way they were going to get back in the game. But as we saw against Florida, like an 18-point lead early in the first half is not insurmountable, OB. So don't play their game. If they're shooting a bunch of threes and you're not hitting yours, please don't continue to shoot threes. Exploit them. And this is my second point. Expose their size / athleticism, because I know you've got it. Who are they? I doubt they have multiple players that can cover Boots or Manny going to the hole, right? If they put one of their 2 best defenders on that guy, then the other guy should have a field day. So those, expose them, right? Their lack of size and athleticism there at the guard position. Make sure that they, get screens to put Kasai in certain situations to where he's got to cover Boots or he's got to cover Manny Obaski. It won't go well. And how about this last one? Because A&M baseball did win yesterday against Mississippi State. I want more pitching performances like we got from Ryan Prager yesterday. He was pretty darn good, buddy.
Yes, I want that. He was exceptional. In fact, what did he give up? 2 runs, and I don't know if any of them were earned. I know the first one wasn't.
He he had a rough outing, obviously, when they started the season or started SEC play, but at Florida. But right now, at home, he has been so dynamite, and just continue doing what you're doing, Ryan Brauninger. The rest of the staff, you're at home. Let's win today and win the series, and then we can breathe a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel good about it.
Yeah.
If the Aggies could hit the Mississippi State's Friday night starter, the way, or I guess in that case, Thursday night starter, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Opening starter, the way they did, Gavin Grahovic going crazy, then why would I think they wouldn't hit their second guy?
Yep.
Unless he's just having a great day. That happens, but always have a lot of confidence, especially in the second and third games of the series with this A&M order.
If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us, you can text us, you can tweet us, you can message board us. What else can they do?
Send smoke signals, whatever.
Yeah, you can do that. 979-693-1150 is the best way to be a part of the conversation. You can call that number or you can text that number. Let's go around the room and say hello to the people out there. We go behind the glass there in College Station where we find Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you, man?
I'm great. I was at the baseball game last night. I don't typically get to go to too many, but yeah, it was a lot of fun to see Gavin Grahovic. I mean, he's so fun to watch. His first at bat, I think he saw one or two pitches, cranked a home run over the left field wall, and then in an 0-1 count with the bases loaded, he came up and launched the ball over the scoreboard. So yeah, like y'all said, hopefully you can get 2 more starts like Prager gave the Aggies last night. And then, hopefully the Aggies can pick up a big win there in Memphis tonight. I do honestly think my internal confidence meter says Aggies do defeat Nebraska tonight, as well as the women later on tonight. So it's gonna be a fun weekend, I think.
What time is the women's game at, Nick?
Like 9:15, something around there. Right. 9:10.
Bedtime.
Kay Naegeli says
7:15 in Corvallis, Oregon.
Yeah. Who were we talking to yesterday talking about Joni? Maybe it was Justin Lanham, but just how awesome she is and just so easy to talk to, makes you feel welcomed. Dynamite coach, X's and O's, got her players playing at a very high level. Love Joni, what the Aggie women are doing. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I believe that's where we find the Jackson Moss. Jackson, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, guys. I don't know about y'all, but after last night, my bracket is officially cooked. There is no coming back from it, and I should have known Kentucky was going to drop this one, but I also didn't have a few of the other games. Like, I'm trying to think. I honestly, I had Dayton losing, and that comeback was crazy. But, yeah, bracket's not doing too well. But
yeah, you probably didn't take Duquesne.
I didn't take Duquesne either, no. But hopping into A&M sports, the number 11 Texas A&M women's tennis team is set to host number 29 Vanderbilt Friday and Kentucky Sunday at the Mitchell Tennis Center, with first serves set for 5 p.m. and 12 p.m. A&M has only allowed 11 points to its opposition all season when the Aggies win the match, and Kieran holds the largest singles win streak at 12, and the Aggies have won 49 straight home matches, which is just absolutely crazy. And then Texas A&M's Jocelyn Oakley highlighted night 2 of NCAA championships with a 4th place finish on the 1 meter, while Hayden Miller also completed the night with a top 16 finish on Thursday at Gabrielson Natatorium. The Aggies sit in 17th place through day 2 with 26 points. Oakley advanced to the first final of her career after a top 3 performance in prelims, and she went on to finish 4th in the evening session with a score of 311.60 to pick up her 3rd All-American accolade of her career. And after dropping their midweek game to Texas State, number 14 Aggie softball is looking to bounce back this week at Davis Diamond with a series against number 25 Auburn. The Aggies are currently 25-4 on the season, and they could really use this series win here at home. And then finally, we've all talked about it a little bit now, but Aggie baseball picked up their first win of the series against Mississippi State last night, 8-3. And Gavin Grahovic is quickly becoming one of the most electric players to watch on this baseball team. So he started off with a leadoff home run early in the game to put the Aggies ahead, and a grand slam in the 5th to propel them to 6-2.
Yeah, He is, and then you can mention another name, and then you can mention another name, and then you can mention another name. Braden Montgomery had a couple hits yesterday. We know Jace Lavalette. They've got some dudes, man. They got some dudes that are becoming household names. If you didn't know him before, I know most knew Braden because of his time at Stanford, a big transfer, and obviously we know Jace. But a lot of these other names starting to become like Hayden Shaw. Yeah, that's my guy.
It's a good lineup, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to being able to go see them play in person.
Yep.
But I'm willing to put it off for a while.
A little bit, just a tad bit.
Keep dribbling for a while.
Hey, by the way, you're struggling at the moment. I don't understand what's going on with your. So OB, you guys like going behind the curtain, right? OB's trying to get into his email account, and it's telling him it's sending a code to a different device to get in. And he's got the device it should be sending it to, and it's not sending the code, so he can't get into his TexAgs email.
And this is important because that's how I
communicate.
It's how I get my article
right
to TexAgs
right
by emailing it in. And so,
do you have another email? Do you have a Yahoo?
I may.
Do people still use Yahoo? Do you have AOL?
I have
Hotmail.
I have Gmail. That's what I have.
Okay. You don't have a Hotmail?
No, I don't have Hotmail. Is that still a thing?
My wife uses Hotmail still. I don't know.
My wife tells me I'm a Hotmail.
Does she?
Yeah.
Does she?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this.
That's not as often as she used to, though.
Hey, look, we're having fun here in Memphis, but if there's a couple things I miss about College Station right now, okay?
Yeah.
Missing the baseball team.
Yes.
All right. Missing my family.
Okay, of course.
And missing talking spring football with the guys. We missed that opportunity yesterday.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have been there for it.
Yep. I got to hear some of it, and we're going to go over it. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, we're going to hit a break here. We'll come back with a little A&M football talk next. And then, by the way, Billy Liucci will be joining the show in the 8 o'clock hour. He's just, he's up early. He wants to get some work done. So we'll talk to Billy at 8:35. Right now, did you or someone you know graduate from A&M in the last 12 years? Are they leading by example in business and in service? If that is the case, the Association of Former Students wants to invite you or someone that you know to the 12 Under 12 Young Alumni Spotlight. You can nominate yourself or someone you know for that. So each year, the association recognizes a dozen Aggies who've graduated within the last 12 years for their business accomplishments, civic or military service, philanthropic efforts, outstanding representation of A&M's core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. Previous year honorees have included leaders in business and higher education, architects, petroleum engineers, nonprofit executives, physicians, veterans, and members of the U.S. Armed Forces. 2024 nominations close on Sunday, March 31st, so be sure to submit a nomination soon. To learn more about that recognition, to submit a nomination, visit tx.ag/12under12 nominations. It is the Association of Former Students. So we're finally in. Finally in, OB.
Well, we finally got a code number sent to me that actually corresponded with some of the code numbers they were giving me as an option.
Too many failed attempts he got as well at one point, but OB is finally in his email. Thanks for all the text messages to help him get in. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the, I don't want to call it the fake Rollo insurance. We're in our home away from
Rollo is where we are. Home is where the heart is.
Yes.
Rollo is where TexAgs is.
And our hearts with Rollo. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In Memphis, Tennessee. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. And this roadshow is brought to you by our good friends there at Alpha Paving. Brandon Leone, our buddy there, the president in the DFW, the Metroplex. All right. Opie, let's talk a little A&M football. Yesterday, Mike Elko spoke. Colin Klein spoke. Several other players spoke. Who else spoke? There were several guys. We weren't there, unfortunately. Richard Zane was there for us. A couple different things to get into. First off, Colin Klein. I was about to call him Calvin Klein.
Okay.
All right. But I like Calvin Klein. I don't know if I do, actually. I think in the 80s they were big.
I used to have some of their underwear.
Okay, I don't want to think about that at all. In fact, never bring that up again.
Fit real nice and snug.
Okay. Well, extra small for you.
That's back when my wife used to call me Hotmail.
Colin Klein, not Calvin Klein, says we're going to be explosive. I'm ready to be excited about some talent. We have some the spots and the ability to move around and use their abilities to make big plays. So look, there was a bite that I did not pick from Coach Elko where they asked him what's the offense and defense going to look like, and he did not say scheme doesn't matter.
Okay,
but he did say everybody's scheme is different, and like we can run a similar defense, a 4-2-5, and other people can run it, and it's going to be completely different. He goes, what we're going to teach our guys is to play at these levels, right? There's an expectation and a standard. But for a new coach, with so much turnover, new players coming in, new coaching staff coming in, spring ball is really where he gets a lot of not only the installation, but the philosophy done. So here's Coach Elko talking about the importance for this particular A&M team, spring ball.
Yeah, not much because, again, I stay in my lane. But the way we're looking at it and talking to our guys is, Notre Dame's been a program that's been established for 3 years. We're all aware that's the opener. And so we're playing catch-up not only just in this season, but for 3 years worth of a program.
That was a very short soundbite.
Okay. So
he's playing catch-up. That was something I wanted to talk about. Did you hear what that part?
Yeah.
We were playing catch-up for the last 3 years. That's because the last 3 years have been?
Well, I think he's talking about the has Notre Dame had their same coach for, this will be his third year?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I think from an A&M perspective, the last 3 years of A&M football have been subpar.
Well, that's true. That's true. But, he needs to, I think he feels like Notre Dame has a head start because they've had their guys and their program intact. And they're trying to get theirs started. And I mean, look, you have a lot of talent to work with.
Yeah, you do.
And I think that's I think that's the most important thing. You can get an offense installed. You can get a pretty good idea of what you're working with and how it works in spring. And then you'll have all, August to start adding to it.
And I do think, not to make too much of the strength and conditioning side of things with Tommy Moffitt and just. Yes, I'm going to make a lot of it. But for this particular thought, just identifying guys that get it the Elko way. Because you can have talent, but if they're not doing it your way, if they're not bringing it, this is your time to like, hey, you know what? I get it, man, but you're not number one at this position anymore, because he wants competition at every single position. He said that yesterday. He goes, I want, when the spring comes, for everybody to know that there's somebody behind my back trying to take that spot.
Yeah, I think the key part is, though, because I think I heard that from the previous coach too, but
getting it done, like doing it.
Well, I want competition everywhere, but yeah, to actually, if somebody's not performing at that level, to get them out of the lineup. And I don't know that we saw that. I can think of a couple of positions I won't mention, but I can think of a couple of positions where you're thinking, what do you see in this guy? Or this guy should have to pick up, or you have nobody better than that?
Let me ask you this. How would you handle, though, some of the entitlement of a player who has been super productive for you, but then, and I'm not thinking of anybody in particular, I'm just talking about it. When you've got a guy who's been so good for you and like should be the guy, but then you have a younger guy who's better.
I try to see if I can get them both on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
And is the super productive guy that used to be super productive, is he still productive?
He's productive, but maybe not as productive as the backup.
You got to put the best guy on it. You know, I can go back to before I returned to covering Texas A&M, but all Aggies are going to remember this. So everybody remember. Gerard Johnson was struggling, as a quarterback, and the way I read, Mike Sherman just was sticking with him, and he may have been hurt, or whatever. He just kept sticking with him, and finally, he made the move to Ryan Tannehill, and they got better.
They did.
But you wonder what took so long. I always thought, why? Just recently,
Spiller and
we were talking about what is Spiller good? Yes, but you've got a freaking amazing talent that you're not utilizing. Why?
Yeah, especially in the games where he was the hot hand. Look, if Spiller was having huge games, you keep Spiller. But if Spiller's doing well, but A-Chain's having...
He was always the hot hand.
This is true. This is true. Look, the bottom line is it's all talk right now, but I feel like Elko's about that life. This is my expectation. If you can't do it, no harm, but we're going to go this direction.
I hope so. And, I'm very optimistic about Colin Klein. On the one hand, we've talked about this before. Their offense was highly productive without a lot of guys that you would see playing on Sundays.
Yeah.
Now, is the defense he's facing going to be better? Absolutely. He's not going to face the soft defenses of the Big 12. But I think what A&M's first needed on offense was a system and a scheme that was updated and that can really that's not so predictable, right? Yep. We've sat in press boxes, we predicted plays at a pretty high.
And you realize this is coming, and it would come.
It would come. So I'm very cautiously optimistic about Colin Klein.
I'm going to play one more bite that doesn't have anything to do with football, but I believe the two things that Mike Elko is about to talk about are very dear to your heart. Okay. And it happens to do with
this.
Yeah. I mean, I think the smile you're going to have on your face when you hear it, especially the first point that he gets into, I think you're going to be like, you know what? That's me too. All right. That's me too. Not the me too that gets you in trouble, like the good me too. Here's Coach Elko on the great events coming to Kyle Field this weekend.
Yeah, not much because, again, I stay in my lane. But, obviously, listen, you've got an enormous soccer match, which I'm sure is going to bring in an awful lot of people. I am a closet soccer fan, and so very familiar with those two national teams and the magnitude of that game as it heads into Copa America and what they're warming up for. And then listen, George Strait's an absolute legend, and so the fact that he's coming to do the first ever concert at Kyle Field, who else would it be to do the first ever concert in Kyle Field? And so I think it's exciting. I think those are great opportunities for our university to create brand exposure for who we are.
All right, a couple things from there.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, some people will just say that I'm a big soccer. He went Copa America. He dropped the lingo. He dropped the big, just like you. He is all in on. I'm a closet soccer fan, and also, one of my favorites, George Strait, the King. So he speaks to you, buddy.
I would like to go to the George Strait concert, but I saw the ticket prices, so I don't think I'm going. And
Billy, hook a brother up.
I would like to go to the soccer game. Just to party with the Brazilians,
Yeah.
I don't care about the game. I'll just say ole a lot, right? Ole, ole.
Okay.
Isn't that what they say?
I think so.
Yeah. So, but I think that's great. And I'm sure that you can never have too many things going on in College Station.
If I tell you the name Neymar, you know who that is, right?
Who?
Neymar?
Coach Chiapara?
No.
Oh.
Neymar from Brazil. What about Vinny Jr.?
Yeah, Vinny Testaverde.
No, you don't know those guys?
So I want a lot of things happening in College Station is great. Bring in more money for the economy. Hey, bring in more money for NIL.
And bring in more money for TexAgs?
Yeah. You think that'll trickle down to me? It's a long trickle.
Oh, buddy. No. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with Billy Liucci, who I believe no, he's not in Memphis yet. He's on his way to Memphis here soon. I think he's so we'll chat with Billy. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. I don't believe if you're leaving the Brazos Valley right now, you can go through Caldwell to get to Memphis. You might be able to. I don't know. There might be a way, but you should consider it and maybe glance at the lot and see all the great vehicles that they have out there, because they have an outstanding selection of vehicles with great pricing and great trade-in value. When you go there, you're going to be treated great, and you're going to get really just an excellent customer service experience, because they'll take care of you during the process and after. And after, I'm talking about complimentary pickup for their service customers, right? They're going to take care of you top to bottom. That's what they do. That's why Aggies continue to go out there. That's why Aggie athletic people go out there. R.C. Slocum has bought his vehicles there from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You got Dante Hall, who's bought his vehicles there from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. I bought mine there. It's not a far drive either. We're talking 15 minutes to the very edge of Bryan, to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away. But you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They are on Highway 21 in Caldwell. They're online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Welcome back in here. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. And this TexAgs Roadshow is brought to you by Alpha Paving. We're going to bring Billy on. OB, we haven't really touched on it. Maybe we'll get Billy's thoughts on it. But Samford was absolutely robbed. That was a block and a half.
It was, if you didn't see the play, this guy Timberlake from Kansas had a breakaway opportunity. Looked like he was going in for a dunk, and this guy from, I can't remember the guy's name, from Samford comes up behind him. All ball, blocks it from behind. Now, Samford would have still needed to get the ball.
Let's get Billy on
and score
to talk about it with us as well. Billy, good morning, buddy.
David, what's up?
Hello, Billy. Sorry, there was a delay there. I was thinking OB would say something. Did you hear how we were kind of led to you that Samford play? Did you see that one play?
Yeah, I watched it. That was terrible. He had that Solomon Washington block and no call.
Unfortunately, it was a call. They called a foul.
Pretty brutal, man. Yeah, that's true. It wasn't a no call. It was a wrong call. But yeah, I mean, that was a hell of a block. And, the ref saw the way that guy hit the deck and just assumed, I think, that he chopped across his arm or something that he didn't. But it's terrible when there's a call like that in that moment. But I'm also like, Kansas got very lucky there. You got to get those calls right. Here's what I always laugh about, too, though, is we make such a big deal of it happening in that moment, and we've been on that side of it. With the Donald Sloan no call against UCLA years ago, kind of similar, pivotal moment. I think Sloan's going to the line to tie it against UCLA there, or maybe tie or take the lead. I think they might have been down one, and that was not called. And it was a breakaway the other way, I think, with Russell Westbrook. And next thing you know, A&M loses that game, and could have been a massive upset of a team. I think they may have played for the national title that year. UCLA was a dominant team with Kevin Love and Westbrook, and they should have lost A&M, or it should have at least come down to Donald Sloan making a couple free throws, and they didn't make that call. But not funny, but the crazy thing is, that's 2 points is what that is, and that call's just as important to get right early in the game. Now, I know there's a lot on those refs, but 2 points is 2 points, whether it's on the third possession of the game or the end. It seems a hell of a lot bigger, and it is kind of like you feel like they should be dialed in that much more at the end of the game when the game's on the line, just like you asked for the players, right? Ninth inning, fourth quarter drive, everybody's got to dial in and be perfect, and I think that goes for referees as well.
Yeah, the difference is, you were talking about Donald Sloan now, is that was a no call. The official, hey, we're going to let him play.
Right.
Samford last night, he made a call. It was just egregiously wrong.
It was a different deal. There should have been a foul on that one, yeah.
Billy, rough day for the SEC yesterday outside of Tennessee. Just terrible for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think terrible for Kentucky. Like, did it shock you that South Carolina lost to Oregon? Like,
no.
We'll see how the tournament goes for the SEC. It could bode bad. I think Auburn. If there's two teams that I think can make a run, it's Auburn and Tennessee. I'm a little more skeptical of Tennessee. I do like Auburn. I'd be surprised. And then Bama, to me, is kind of a wild card. A&M, if I'm sitting here and if we're being honest, what we know is that I think the game with Nebraska is kind of a coin flip type of game heading into it. And I think, it's easy to see why they will not be picked to beat U of H, although we all know that when this team's on, they're capable of beating a team of U of H's caliber. They've done it, and they almost did it to U of H without Boots, as we've talked a lot about. But A&M might be A&M could be the opinion changer of the bunch because they make a run. But I think Tennessee and Tennessee and Auburn, I'd be surprised if they weren't playing into weekend 2 at least. And then Alabama could be a wild card because when they're hot, but they haven't looked all that great lately. So, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the SEC is a little overrated this year, but I don't know if there was a dominant conference. You always lean to the Big 12, but damn, Texas didn't look very good to me. Kansas, we just talked about what they were doing. So I don't know if there was.
BYU lost.
I hope it's not the Big Ten. Yeah, BYU went down. I hope it's not the Big Ten. I hope it's not them, but they could be. Michigan State looked strong, and Illinois pulled away late. So anyway, I think tonight's going to be really interesting. And Mississippi State losing, I feel like a damn fool because I was high on Mississippi State. It was because I watched some of their game against Tennessee, and I watched them take Auburn down to the wire, and I should have remembered that, like, they're also the team that A&M was up by, like, 25 on before they clawed back. But they do look impressive at times with Smith, and then, you know, they've got the dang shooter out there. It just when you picked Mississippi State like I did, you picked Jans, you picked Jans over Tom Izzo, okay? That's essentially what you did. You picked him over Tom Izzo in March is what you did. So shame on me and shame on everyone else that picked Mississippi State in that one. I don't think that has anything to do with the SEC.
Yeah.
That has to do with you ran into one of the best March coaches there is.
Yeah, if you're going to play a Tom Izzo team, you probably want to get them on the second day or the second game.
Right.
When he only has 1 day to prepare instead of a week.
Billy,
what
can Texas A&M not do tonight? What can they not do?
I think you can't have a lax stretch of defense. They're going to hit three. Look, they're going to hit threes. They're going to hit contested threes. You can't have a stretch where they're getting open look threes because you're a step or two slow, or because, you know, your defense as a unit falls off for several possessions in a row. Because if you let them get hot, then you think you're getting it back, and you might all of a sudden start playing better defense, and it doesn't really matter. That's what happens with these hot three-point shooting teams. We saw it with Florida, their last game. We saw it last year in their last two games with Alabama and Penn State. So they've got to break that. That's how it last year ended, with two teams just bombing them out of the gym from beyond the arc. And so Buzz and the staff, and they have to figure out what they're going to do to combat that, and then so do the players. Players going to have to be like, if they could somehow, 40 minutes of as much energy as they can exert on the defensive end. I know that doesn't stay the same every possession. I know we like to think that's possible, but it's not. But they can't go through long stretches of lulls. And I think the other thing is they can't fall behind early. Look, when they've been playing well, they've been playing well from the start. You look at all these games lately. Maybe Ole Miss they weren't, but I even think they started that one strong, and they fell off throughout most of the first half. That was like a 42-point half still, though, because I think they started out okay. So I think the start for A&M is big, because with this team, as we've seen, you can tell pretty early whether they're going to be shooting and feeling it, or whether it's going to be a grind. And again, they can win a grind if it ends up that way. It's a lot less likely. I think if they're shooting the ball, they're going to win that basketball game.
Yeah. I know in the Florida game, Buzz actually said that they were so concerned with Florida's height and their ability to score inside that A&M was collapsing inside almost at every time Florida got the ball in. And Florida did a great job of then kicking the ball out.
Yep.
I don't know if A&M collapses. It's so quick to collapse.
They don't need to, really.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, and hopefully, like you said, Dave, hopefully they don't. And if you're getting beat inside a little bit, I think that's fine. I think A&M can live with that, and they can keep up with that, and they can outlast that.
Billy, I was in the locker room yesterday talking to a couple of the guys. I wasn't able to talk to Boots. I know OB was able to, but this is a legacy game. I mean, for him, really for Wade and Henry, when you think about it, because those three came in together, and they have not won an NCAA tournament game. They're moving up the ranks with the most wins and points and all that stuff, but they really need to get some March Madness wins, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they want it. I think they want it because this team knows they can do some damage in this tournament. I know there's a massive hurdle awaiting them for Nebraska on Sunday. I understand that, but they're not scared of U of H. So if you're those players, you know how you've been playing lately, and you're going, if we can keep this up, if you're Wade Taylor, I can be playing at home next weekend in Dallas. We can keep going. There are worse teams than this one that have been to recent Final Fours. So you have that going on. But yeah, if we're talking about legacies and at the end of the day, every player looks back and thinks about that. Wade should have 2 more years here. I don't think he's an early NBA guy. And if he were to go back-to-back tournament, perhaps makes it in a Sweet 16 or more, who knows, with the portal, we don't even know what next year's team's going to look like. But if he can do that, he's climbing up the ranks of all-time A&M players. And Boots is one that'll absolutely, he'll be remembered really fondly if he can get to 2 tournaments, 3 memorable seasons. But I do think for him, to crack into that group, you gotta have a run here. They've got to figure out a way to make a run, win a game, especially if you win 2. Like if you go win a game and then knock off a 1 seed and are playing, let's just say Duke and in Dallas in the Sweet 16, that's when you start talking about legacy, and then you start going, okay, let's start naming these guys. Okay, how many of them have Sweet 16? Because it's not that many. And then you start differentiating. But I think it's particularly, if you're talking about individually, it's one that's particularly big for Wade because of what he's meant to it these past 2 seasons, what his individual accolades are, what his scoring numbers are going to be following next season. I think he's a top 10 player around there in A&M history right now, probably higher. People forget, I got into this debate with Logan the other day, and the guy was a SEC first-team player as a sophomore and a junior, right? If he wasn't, he was second-team, sophomore, first-team, junior. He's had some incredible games. He's been to the tournament twice now. When you're trying to move up, I think he's already in there. When you try to move up from there, you got to have the postseason March Madness wins. He's got a lot of postseason wins. Done some amazing things in the SEC tournament, but you got to have those wins in March. Those wins in the big dance.
Billy, we got to hit a break. Do you want to do a couple seconds on the other side, or you got to get going?
Yeah, I'll probably talk a little Thursday night baseball, huh?
Yeah, let's do that. And we got Elga who spoke yesterday. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, so we're changing it up a little bit. Billy is going to join us again at 9 o'clock. I think we're going to push Mark French to the top of the 10 o'clock so we can get more Billy thoughts on baseball and on football. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and this roadshow is brought to you by the Alpha Paving Company, an award-winning paving contractor servicing Texas. All right, let's do this, OB. Let's do Bank On It, presented by Vera Bank. Authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. You know where you can learn more? VeraBank.com. How about that?
How about that?
What are you banking on?
Well, I'm banking on Texas A&M to continue playing at the highest level. Maybe they played basketball all season. So I'm continuing to bank on Wade Taylor, but I'm also banking on Manny Obaski driving to the hoop tonight.
Yep.
I think Manny Obaski's going to have a big game.
I'm banking on Boots Radford being the dominant force tonight.
All right.
25 plus. And let me tell you my thinking behind it. Look, Wade's going to get his points, and I think Manny's going to get his points. But I feel like this is one of those games that Manny's been showing up so much on the scouting report that they're going to focus on him a little bit, and he's going to do well. And obviously every scouting report's got Wade. I think Boots is going to be able to be the one who maximizes his moments because of the size difference that I think he's going to have, his ability to hit the rim. Attack the rim. So I'm going to go with Boots being the dominant force, 25 points or more from Boots Radford.
You know, it could happen. And I'll say this. I think we all agree. None of us care who gets it done as long as it gets done.
Just get it done, baby.
Just get it done.
I love when it gets done.
Let's go see those Cougars on Sunday.
Yeah. And look, that's going to be, as Billy said at the other side, that's going to be a very difficult one. Like if you are able to get through Nebraska, but I love knowing we can hang with them. We did it without certain dudes. Now we're going to do it with all our dudes.
Yeah, Boots did not play in that game. That was a 4-point game, which, it was it at Houston's gym? No,
yeah.
But it was at the 12 Center. It was in Houston.
OB, great work here on the show. Hopefully we're doing a show here on Monday.
Yeah, let's bank on it.
Let's bank on it. That's going to be a tough bank, but let's bank on it. Thank you, OB. All right, when we come back, more Billy Liucci. We'll get to Billy when we return. Plus, we got the baseball bunch of guys after that, and much more basketball in the 10 o'clock hour. TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is, by the way, this roadshow brought to you by Alpha Paving, an award-winning paving contractor servicing Texas, ready to deliver excellent customer service, meticulous project management, and quality workmanship for your asphalt and concrete needs. Their projects include retail, office, multifamily, and industrial. Notable clients such as the Dallas Cowboys, HEB, Graystar. You can visit them at alphapaving.com. and let them get to work for you. All right, let's go back to the hotline. Billy Liucci is still with us. We took a little break earlier, but we're back to talk with Billy. And Bill, we got a couple different things to finish up with. Baseball yesterday, obviously, a great start to the series. And Mike Elko and the guys spoke yesterday.
Yeah, both were. One was really fun. One was really interesting. Listening to Coach Elko, Colin Klein, Jay Bateman. I don't think that's the last we're going to hear of them either, those two coordinators. I know for a fact that Coach Elko would have liked to have met with the media a little more during his time as DC here. You can tell by how he interacts with the media that he actually enjoys it. He enjoys the conversation. And so I think we'll see more of Klein and Bateman. I have no idea if that's a weekly thing or if that's just, but I do think it'll be more than the start of spring and the start of fall camp, let's say. So, and I hope so, because both were really interesting. And you just get to know the coaches a little more that way. And you really get to know Mike Elko. I think he's just, every time you talk to him, you see how impressive he is. I like how he said, hey, if we're going to have an honest conversation here, when he was answering the one thing about the offenses, style of offense, scheme, he enjoys the conversation. He's going to be upfront and open, and it's not going to be a lot of cliches and coach speak. So I'm looking forward to hearing him every week and a lot this spring. I think you'll get to hear probably from all these assistant coaches this spring, and I think player access will be a little more. I think access for us in the media is going to be substantially different, and that's going to benefit, that's going to benefit the fan base. That's going to benefit the fans a lot, and that's going to benefit our subscribers. I think you guys, people have been wondering where the spring football stuff is, and that's coming. It's coming starting today. Today will be a little different. We're going to have Brawny out there, and then he's going to have to hustle over to baseball. We're shorthanded, obviously, with everyone at every event. I think him and Dalton and Zane are working on getting that right. And then from there, it should be a hell of a fun spring, regardless of how long basketball's playing. So you never know, though. We could have an issue. Hopefully we have an issue again next weekend with Auburn baseball Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then hopefully the Aggies playing in Dallas, and who knows, maybe the women's still playing as well.
Billy, what was your takeaway, if that's the right way to phrase it, from what Coach Elko was talking about scheme, and then when Colin Klein kind of went into what he wants the offense to look like?
I think my biggest takeaway there was that they're going to be able to adjust. They're going to have some core principles, obviously, but they're going to be able to adjust to the personnel and the talent on hand. Colin Klein is going to be able to adjust to his quarterback, although I do think all three of those guys are mobile and can move. But, you heard, thanks to Dalton's question, I was really impressed that Dalton stood up. He was sitting there on the back like he was at, sitting there at summer camp in his joggers when he stood up and asked a good question about the tight end. I like Colin Klein saying that's a beautiful position is how he described it. And it is beautiful when it's used properly and it's used right. And that is one thing that Jimbo and the Aggies did. But if they can start getting some tight end H-back production like they got at Kansas State, that's going to bode really well. I actually talked to an NFL scout this week that was really fired up about A&M's tight end addition from Fresno State. So don't underestimate Trey in this spring ball battle, because he was such a late addition. Remember, he was signed on to go play in that Washington offense with Kalen DeBoer, and then ended up flipping to A&M once DeBoer left. So just name to remember, someone to file away going into camp. And especially again with the way that Colin Klein used those tight ends at K-State, it's pretty exciting. But I just like the fact that they're going to tailor it to get the most out of their personnel, to maximize that. I liked Elko saying they will change tempo. They will, use pre-snap movement to create the kind of matchups that they want. Like, these are things that everyone wanted to see more of, to the point that anytime we saw any of it, it was like tantalizing. And we're like, oh my God, look what they did this week. But the reality is all of college football does that. All college football is doing that except us. And so every time we saw just a little bit of it, it really stood out, and we got really hopeful that they'd maybe made some sort of adjustment, and then it would kind of, every time kind of fall back to the norm, unfortunately.
Defensively, Billy, we know it's going to be Mike Elko's stamp, but anything that Jay Bateman said that kind of caught your eyes?
I liked what he was talking about the SEC, and I do think he's right. When you're playing defense in this league, and now you have two guys that are running the show there, and he did say, like, hey, he understands it's Elko's defense, but he also he's his own guy that Elko clearly respects, and he also understands it. He's an extension of Elko during practice, on game days. I think their friendship, their connection, their knowledge of each other is going to be terrific for Elko to allow. And I think that's a big part of that hire that people didn't understand. I try to tell people it was going to go that way, because Elko does not want to sit there and call every defensive snap in that football game on Saturdays. He doesn't do that anymore. That when he became a head coach, that's why you saw a lot of familiarity there with Santucci at Duke, and you're seeing it now with Bateman at A&M, and that's so he can coach. But what I liked about Bateman too was when he was talking about the SEC and how it's different when you come into the league, because you don't realize until you see it how good some of these skill guys really are. And they are. I mean, they're first rounders all the way across the league, even on some of the lesser teams. And a lot of times you can't stop them. Some of these receivers and quarterbacks and tight ends like Brock Bowers, and you can't stop them with your normal, standard operating procedure. You got to change some things up. You got to get creative with some stuff. Some of these offensive lines, like, okay, we're not going to get there with 4 probably most of this game because this team's too damn good up front. So we're going to have to maybe stray at, if you're a team that doesn't blitz a lot, we're going to have to stray from what we're doing, and because of the talent level on these offenses. So I do love the fact that one guy's been a DC in this league for 4 years, and the other guy in Bateman has spent that time at Florida like he did. And like he even said, I think he said, like, I don't know if I could have made the jump from Carolina to here as he basically was saying as the same coach, because I had to, that stopover in Florida to kind of learn the league.
Billy, baseball-wise, Gavin Grohovic again. I mean, look, I knew he was going to be good. Bronny told us he was going to be good. He's been better than I thought.
I believe you go check Twitter, because there's one making the rounds. And I think I may have been, and Bronny would deny this, but I may have been the one to tell him they were going to get Grohovic, because I happened to run into him on his visit. And by the way, let me just tell you something, because Bronny likes to take credit for everything here in this life. But my dog that's on the back porch right now, Olin, who doesn't fancy himself a baseball expert, Zane, who does, all you have to do is watch the very first clip of his very first swing that surfaced on social media, and then all of us can read. This guy's been on the scouts' radar since he was like 15. He's that good, and so good that the tweet that's going around is one that other fans are basically calling A&M fans baseball casuals, because this guy will never play college baseball. They're not saying much today, and Gavin looks like one of, if not, he's certainly one of the top couple freshmen in the league, in the country. Like Fosh has said, he's doing it at a position that he was, it's not his number one position at third base. And he's getting better and better at it. I know he had it was the error earlier last night and more than made up for it with the 2 bombs. I mean, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if he kind of reminds, we were sitting there in left field down the third base line last night, and I had the awning over me. So when that ball, all I could see it leave the bat. It didn't even have to try to, do that stand up and look to your left, try to bend over and see if it goes over the face. That was as much as no doubter when it left his bat. I don't know, man. Do you see Albert Pujols in him with that stance and that low? That's what my buddy who I was sitting next to said. Or is it, or is he like, he's got some Bryce Harper to him? I mean, that power he's got is absurd. And then you look at the average. And again, Nuño, here's what I'm saying. I said it last week when we talked about him. Look what he did against Texas, against Florida in his first ever SEC series on the road in the swamp. I guess it's not technically the swamp, but on the road against a powerhouse program. And then to come back and his first game, home SEC series, what does he do? He hits 2 bombs. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And they should have scored a lot more last night. They were tattooing the baseball for the first 5-6 innings. I mean, just absolutely lacing it and just hitting it right at people. So, but last night, certainly Grahovic and Prager. Prager was sensational. I know that was, I think that was a really important bounce back after he had his first, I would say, non-stellar start, because every other one of them have been brilliant. So he struggled out there in Gainesville, and that was his first Friday night SEC start. So I think it's really important that he came out last night and pitched the way he did against that lineup. And I think we'll see over the weekend, this is a really good Mississippi State lineup. If A&M's going to win this series, I think they'll probably have to win a shootout in one of those games. But Prager, Stewart, Aschenbeck, they were freaking nails.
Well, Billy, you mentioned, it was important for Prager to bounce back, but for A&M too, right? Like, we know how difficult the SEC is, and all the road teams lost last week. And it needs to continue that going this week here at home.
Yeah, I mean, look, that first game is so big always. We all know that. I mean, it's so big for the mental side of it. Now the pressure's on Mississippi State, much like it was on A&M. The Aggies had to win last Saturday, because the last thing you want to do is go into Sunday with the sweep, with getting swept on the table. So this is a critical game for Mississippi State, a team that won a series against LSU last weekend, and has a ton of talent and high hopes. So yeah, they're going to come out feeling like they have to win this one. And if the Aggies win it, then all of a sudden you've done your job. You got the series win. You've held serve, let's say, and that's when you get greedy and go for more. So this is a big one. This is a big one tonight for both teams, because again, State's good. I mean, you look up, A&M's up 6-2, and anytime they'd get a base runner, you'd start to go, oh man, this, especially when it was 6-3, because you look at every guy that came up, you check out their average and their number of home runs, and there's a few of them you've already heard of early in this season or in their careers, where you're like, okay, this is not the part of the lineup you want to be in with a guy on base and a 3-run lead, because it's like one swing and you're clinging to it these next couple innings. So, even up 6-3 in the ninth, in the eighth, when A&M gets the top of the order up and goes 1-2-3, you're going, damn, hope that doesn't come back to haunt you. And that's not being negative. That's being, hey, that's Mississippi State's lineup. And Aschenbeck, who was otherwise brilliant, gives up a single to start the ninth inning, and you look at the guys coming up and you go, it doesn't take much for that thing to get real dicey. But then he gets a double play, which was, I mean, what a pitch, what timing to get that, and execution by your infield. That basically ended the game for all intents and purposes.
Billy, let's close out with a basketball thought here. I don't think concern's the right word, but I have noticed a lot of Nebraska fans, like a lot. You'll see it when you get here. Yeah, and that means for every school that's here. There are a lot of schools here, obviously, and some from Texas, but it is significantly Nebraska right now.
Does that surprise you? Here's why I say that.
It doesn't surprise me, Billy, but it has caught my attention.
Yeah. Here's why I say that. Nebraska, they've never won a tournament game. They are favored. They're a slight favorite. They didn't sneak into the tournament. This has been building in Lincoln. How long has it been since they've really felt anything in football? This is a hungry fan base. It's been a while since they've been any good in baseball, when they were an Omaha team years and years ago. This is a hungry fan base. They'll jump and latch onto, and you see how they are with volleyball. That's a proud fan base. They're great college fans. They care about their university and their teams. And like I said, they're starved for a winner. And I think this team is like kind of how A&M fans feel, on some of these teams, that when we're not very good, we don't see a huge fan turnout. But when things start rolling, here comes the bandwagon, and everybody gets fired up about it. And I think that's what you're probably seeing with Nebraska basketball. And I think they sense that, just like we think if A&M can get it rolling, they can beat anybody. I think these fans sense a little something special there. And look, unfortunately, and there's going to be several hundred fans there that are the best, but unfortunately, A&M fans have never traveled very well to college basketball. They just haven't. And that's a lot of fan bases. It was easy at SEC tournament for so many of those fan bases to get there because they all drive, and it's plugged right in the middle. Most Aggie fans are not driving to Nashville. So let Texas A&M win a couple games and let that bandwagon fill up a little bit, and see how many Aggie fans are in Dallas next weekend. So I think we'll be singing a completely different tune. But yeah, I think it's not going to surprise me at all to hear you say that A&M is going to be outnumbered this weekend significantly. And hey, maybe playing Kentucky and Florida was a good warm up for that.
Let's hope so, Billy. Safe travels here. I'll see you here in a few hours.
All right, Dave. See you, buddy.
Later, man. Billy Liucci there on the hotline. All right, let's do this. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with a baseball bunch. Those guys are in studio. I'll throw them a few topics. We'll go around. If you have a question for the baseball bunch, you can do that at 979-693-1150. Right now, we're talking Milliken Reserve. They're a farm-to-table community. They're in College Station. They got homes. They got trails. They got farms. They got wide open spaces. And their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. And they've done that by treading lightly on the land that Milliken Reserve can be found on. They've created a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for community. They're dedicated to the conservation of that healthy community with 2,600 acres of open space. They've got beautiful farms, 30 miles of trails, and homes. They want to connect families to nature and to each other with that extensive network of trails throughout a wood landscape. They've got walking and equestrian paths. They've got creeks. They've got ponds. They got gathering areas, and they're committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. You go there, you're going to see all the beautiful paths and the white-tailed deer and the songbirds and the rabbits and the turtles out there. It's a great place, and they provide a natural setting for people to connect with each other. Go hiking there, biking, canoeing, the kayaking, the equestrian trails, the evening yoga, the summer camps, the music festivals, and the farm tours. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website is millikenreserve.com. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in Memphis here for TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio of my Memphis hotel. I'm in the conference room, and the Moxie Hotel is taking great care of us, having a good old time. If you want to be a part of the conversation, we're about to do the baseball bunch. You can do it at 979-693-1150.
What's the name of your hotel?
1150. This roadshow brought to you by Alpha Paving, an award-winning paving contractor servicing Texas, ready to deliver excellent customer service, meticulous project management, and quality workmanship for all of your asphalt concrete needs. Their projects include retail, office, multifamily, and industrial for notable clients such as the Dallas Cowboys, HEB, Graystar. Visit them at alphapaving.com and let them get to work for you. By the way, we're about to do baseball bunch. I think it's a travesty that this segment is not sponsored. For all of you baseball fans out there that are own businesses or want to get the word out, hit me up. You can hit me up on TexAgs, or you can send an email to me. Let's get this segment sponsored. We got some great guys. Scott Clendenin in the house, Richard Zane in the house, and Ryan Brauninger. Gentlemen, hello.
What's the name of your hotel?
Nuño, can you hear us? Or are you just like the consummate professional? You didn't listen to anything we were saying when we were trying to mess you up during that sponsor read.
I heard something, but you didn't mess me up, guys.
Obviously, that's because you're such a pro.
There's been plenty of times that you and Dalton try to throw me off my game through the window, in front of the studio, or in my no. I'm just focused, laser focused, like an Elko guy.
Hey, if you call Alpha Paving, I'm just going to say this. This is not part of the ad read, but if you call Alpha Paving for all your concrete needs, Brandon Leone might even freestyle on the phone for you.
Ooh,
I will buff the freestyle.
Tempting to go with great concrete work, great service, and a freestyle from the one and only Brandon Leone. I've seen him do it. He's pretty good.
So he can lay down some concrete and lay down some tracks?
There you go, Richard. Okay. We're off to a hot start here, David.
And we haven't even talked baseball yet.
No, we haven't. So let's start off with you, Scotty.
Nice job, Scott.
Scott killed all the fun.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Gotta be business professional and business like.
This guy came over from saving somebody's life. He came to baseball bunch from saving somebody's life. So he is laser focused today, like Ryan Prager was.
He's all
last
business,
night.
like Ryan Prager's business like a performance last night. There you go, Scott. That's
you guys
a segue.
are way more fun when I'm not in studio. I like this version of you.
Yes, we are. We can tell you who the problem is.
It's something about when Brawny sits in this chair, he takes his personality up another notch, which seems hard to do, but he does.
He lowers that chair so much that when I sit there the next day, I feel like I'm 2 foot tall.
Well, the way you've got it with this perfect posture, Nuño. Let me set my spine and shoulders back for 3 hours while I'm hosting the radio show, because it'll set my gains for the day.
Hey,
all right, if we continue like this,
what would Schloss expect?
Huh? Schloss would expect for me to perform how I'm comfortable, get in the right headspace, get how you're comfortable so you can perform at your highest level. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to slump over, and I'm going to lower the chair. And when you come back, I hope it's still warm and slouched over.
Okay, that's gross. All right, let's get into some baseball, gentlemen. Scotty, we'll start off with you this week. All right, obviously we're going to talk a lot about Mississippi State, but what we've seen Wednesday and Thursday so far, your thoughts?
I think it's hard, just like it was hard to play Texas Southern. That was a game which, A&M was in a dogfight from the beginning, and I think that was the key. Then you turn it around and you see what having the lead in the bottom of the first inning does. I mean, that's a prime example. You play a team not as good as you are, and then you play a team that's a top 20 team that is coming off a huge, set of victories, and you get on top of them. That this game is still all about confidence. And when you walk to the mound in the second inning and you're up, it's a completely different feel than with what happened with Prairie View. It was a great bounce back for the team. And I'm not of they're playing to the level of competition and all that kind of stuff. I've talked with Jim Lawler about this, about Texas Southern. We haven't talked about Prairie View, but I see him every week. And when they played Stephen F. Austin the week after beating the Longhorns and winning as big a series as they have played, they struggled with Stephen F. Austin back from hiatus, first-year program, and had to bring starters back in and play people they didn't think they were going to have to play. That is baseball. It was baseball in the late 80s. It is baseball in every level. It's just the nature of the game. And for them to then show up and be laser-focused yesterday was huge. And Prager threw the first punch and continued throwing punches the whole game long.
It was a weird week because of the schedule. It's also, like Scotty mentioned, a perfect highlighter of what the game of baseball can be, and the fact that on a Wednesday you can go out and struggle to have to rally and beat a SWAC team, and the next day you look pretty comfortable in beating a top 20 SEC West team who just won a national title a couple years ago. The game of baseball is crazy. Now, that being said, I actually think so. The last two nights, David, the offense has been pretty stinking good, and it's also been really unlucky. I mean, how many balls between Prairie View and Mississippi State last night did A&M hit at over 100 miles an hour that were caught?
20.
It's a bunch.
Yeah.
You know, through last night, David, I was tracking it in the stadium. Mississippi State had a 2-1 lead, and I don't think they had an exit velocity on any of their hits above like 65 miles an hour. Meanwhile, through that same time period in the game, I think A&M had 6 or 7 balls that had left the bat at 100 miles an hour or greater. Sometimes the game of baseball stinks, but you have to kind of look through the results and start looking at the process and go, okay, like this has just been really unfortunate for Prager to allow those 2 soft runs, and it's also been really unlucky from the A&M bats that they're just squaring the baseball up consistently and it's getting caught. I mean, how many balls, Richard, last night were caught on the warning track? 3 or 4?
I know. I think Jace himself flew out a couple times pretty deep.
Bard,
maybe not Jace. Yeah.
Bard had one to the warning track. Braden had one to the warning track. Braden's was like 109 miles an hour, caught in the deepest part of the yard. So as good as the outputs have been.
Jackson had a deep fly in the first inning.
So as good as the outputs have been from the run standpoint, they could be better.
Yes.
Like if the game of baseball,
you got to barrel balls,
right? You have to. And you, for the people, there were people on the thread last night, and I don't mean to call these people out because I know it's a minority. But as a hitter, the only thing you can control is hitting the ball hard, swinging at your pitch, making your best move. Once you hit the ball in the barrel, you have no control after that.
No.
So you can't just scream, we need to score runs. Well, they're hitting the ball 107, 108 miles an hour, and it's getting caught. What else do you want them to do? Hit it softer?
and that's A&M's game. And you talked about it yesterday with Coach Schlossnagle, then after he was on, that Mississippi State doesn't necessarily play the same game. They have success when they hit the long ball. Obviously, Jordan is a prime-time, high first-round Major League draft pick a year from now, just like most great players on SEC teams.
Hunter Hines.
But they are not just about smashing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to have an inning where, Jordan hit the ball hard, that Grahovic made the play to keep it from going the outfield. That might have been the only one that was above 80.
Still an infield hit.
Yes, but an infield hit. And the flares and the dinks, and that's their game, and to run the bases like they do. But you still took all that, held them to 2 when another misplay or something like that, or having then a home run get out of the park, and you're in trouble. But they stayed away from the walk. They got by the one error and the infield hits in that inning with minimal damage, and then they were able to let their offense come back and fight them.
Hey, guys, let's do this. Let's hit a break, and we'll come back. I want to take things in parts from Prager to Grahovic and just a lot of other areas that we can kind of just pinpoint. Right now, though, we're going to give you a double for Double Daves, right? So we're going to do it now, and we're going to do it at the end of the show because we missed one yesterday. It's time to end we're not going to end the day. It's time to continue the day with Double Daves. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Daves. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. They've got reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. This roadshow brought to you by Alpha Paving. So Jim Barrio, an Aggie fan, just walked in to our studio here. So there are Aggie fans showing up, guys. So he just walked in. He's got an Aggie hat on. He's ready to roll. Let's go back to the baseball bunch there in College Station. Gentlemen, I want to start this segment off with what we saw yesterday from Ryan Brauninger and how important it was for him to bounce back, considering how it was on the road last week in Gainesville, and also just to be as laser sharp as he was.
So I don't know if anybody's listened to Jim Schlossnagle's press conference from last night's game, post-game presser. He said it was hugely important, one, for Ryan to respond from the adversity he had to deal with in Gainesville last week, and two, because Ryan hasn't really pitched very well against SEC competition. Granted, it's been a limited sample size, what he did as a true freshman, and he missed all year. So not only did Ryan Brauninger need to have the outing that he did last night, Jim Schlossnagle said he needed to see Ryan have that kind of outing, give him some confidence. And what was really impressive is Ryan Brauninger said last night that he did not have his best stuff. And what happens when you don't have your best stuff, when you're able to battle and compete and be as successful as he was last night, is very, very impressive. What I think was most impressive about his outing was the fact that he limited the walk. And all of the contact against him was so weak, and he only allowed those 2 unearned runs and allowed his team to remain in the ballgame until Gavin Grahovic came through with the big swing.
I thought it was a mental fortitude night just as much as it was physical, because he had struggled the week before, and he's going to want to get back out there and be competitive, but also the nature of the game. And as we talked so much about, just his kind of bad luck over the course of the night. You have a flare single to right, then you have a dumped single to left, and then you have a 2-hop ground ball to Grahovic's left that he dives and hits off the tip of his glove. The leadoff hitter of that 2-run inning for Mississippi State reached on a cued ground ball that Grahovic couldn't handle and made an error. So it was, for a guy, if the guy's not sharp mentally in that inning, it can implode. And he had to expend a lot of physical energy to get out of that. But I thought the most impressive thing was once he got out of that inning, how sharp he was for the remainder of the game. For me, I thought that was his best performance of the season.
Well, I brought it up on the air that, hey, we're in the 3rd time through, and look what he's doing. 3 punches, some hard hit balls to center field. Yes, they were, but it still was pitches that were his. And his pitch in that spot that led to that. It wasn't a miss or anything like that. And then he nearly got all the way through the lineup there, in the bottom 3. The bunt single, is the only one that got them going and got him out of the game, or he would have had a clean inning then. I thought that was huge for him. It's the old analogy. How good are you until you get hit? Until you take that blow, until you're knocked to a knee, and you have to get up and deal with that adversity. And a starting pitcher in college baseball normally is 7 days, and that's why I asked him after the game, 6 days you have to sit on this. You don't get to have another at-bat in that game or wait till the next day, or even if it's a Sunday and you have to wait till Tuesday, you have got to wait and be strong and not get away from the plan and believe that it's going to work. And he said last night, I had good belief in the plan, to go after these guys, and it worked for him. And that bodes well for Tanner Jones. He just saw the guy that struggled last week with me at Florida step up and punch first. And I think that's good for the Aggies today.
Once again, Ryan Brauninger setting the tone for a pitching staff on a weekend. Really liked it because what followed him was Josh Stewart, who was really good, and then Evan Aschenbeck, who did Evan Aschenbeck things.
Well, David, I don't know where you wanted to go for the rest of the segment, but I know that I wanted to talk about Josh Stewart. Just a complete.
Well, let's do it because that was the next thing on my agenda.
Yeah, so a complete reinvention, obviously in the offseason under Max Weiner, and this guy went from kind of not an afterthought. He was used a little bit last year, but it was kind of in 5-run differentials either way.
Yeah.
He wasn't used in leverage situations, and this year he has become one of, if not the main righty trotting out of that bullpen. And the outs he got last night were enormous. And Jim Schlossnagle blamed the pitch call for the Hunter Hines home run, He said, yeah, me and Coach Max, we thought we could sneak another fastball by him, and clearly we couldn't, and he hit the ball out to left field. But the slider sweepers that he threw, just like to Mershon and to Dakota Jordan, just disgusting. 3,100 on the RPMs, that's greater than the big league stuff.
Was it Jordan that he got the sword on, the really tough-looking swing, or was that
Jordan got a
somebody else?
strikeout looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that, and it also shows all the guys on the team that, are working to get better, that their goal is out in front of them, and I've got to work to get better to get there.
Work while you wait. It's hard to do.
But look at the examples.
Right.
The examples are what make it that much important. Hank Bard, what we're seeing from Cortez this year, what we're seeing from Stewart. It's up and down the lineup, guys that didn't have a spot. No spots were secure, but have a pretty good hold on a spot. What you do from the end of fall when they get done with the fall and then start doing the individual work for you to get better when nobody's watching, these are the guys that are the examples of it, player after player after player. And that does great things for this team and the ones that aren't playing yet to see I have to work when nobody's watching and I can get a benefit from it.
Well, the greatest example of that on this entire team is Evan Aschenbeck. This is a kid that wasn't recruited out of high school, from Brenham, goes to Blinn, gets on at A&M, and they nearly cut him.
Holman. You talk. I'm not Holman. The left-hander, the talk to himself, side armor. Hoffman.
He was right-handed.
Yeah, right-handed.
Yeah.
But he acted like a lefty. But no, those guys. Offensive. The last guy. Look at the last cut. That would have been that year, and stuck. And Aschenbeck, the same thing.
Man, it's crazy to me that you hand him the ball in whatever scenario, whatever this is, the second inning, fifth inning, ninth inning, you hand him the ball, and it's just so reliable. Like, I think we underappreciate it because he's been so good.
A 4-out save on just 16 pitches.
And saved, and Stewart 23 pitches. These guys are not done for the weekend.
Yep, that's big too. And it was big that Mississippi State, that Nolan Stevens, he got roughed up a little bit.
Yeah, but they stuck with him.
But they stuck with him, and he was able to eat innings. So now the Bulldog bullpen still very rested for these final two games.
Cam Schulke was the only guy that warmed up for them. They had one right-hander. Number 2 was the only
He's
guy
the one that throws funny.
Yeah, that only guy that touched a ball in the bullpen for Mississippi State. So, yes, pitching will be fresh for the rest of the way out. But you're right. And watching Aschenbeck stand on the mound and watch his body language, he's like, you're not beating me.
Right.
Especially when it's 6-3 and he's standing up there looking at the hitters. It's like, there's no emotion. It's just, I am here to work and I'm going to do this pitch after pitch.
Well, one thing he does, it's so underrated, is this has been the story of his career here. You're going to have to beat him.
Yeah.
He's not going to walk you. He's not going to put you on base. Like, if you beat him up, you beat him up. But he's going to make you earn it. And he's going to say, here's my best stuff. You go get it.
Yeah.
And it's mano a mano. He's just old Mr. Reliable, man. He just trots out of the bullpen. He looks like he's 35 years old, and he's just like a lefty. Here, come get it. You want some of it, come get it.
Right. I just love the body language. I think that carries on to the team as well. It's kind of weird to me, and I know we haven't talked about this, but we take time in between pitches. We use the pitch clock. Like I noticed it with Major League Baseball players last year that had been in AAA and had used the pitch clock the year before, that they knew you get in the box and then I'm the one who controls when this pitch is thrown. And it's not, the old adage, you want to play fast because the infield, it's perfect right now. They know when you're going to pitch. They're watching the clock too. They know what your tendencies are. But I like that just standing there staring you down. It's like Aschenbeck is staring you down, saying, when I do go into this windup and let this go, you're not going to do anything to me.
Yeah, they're dictating tempo.
Yeah.
Right? The pitchers are dictating the tempo of the game, and they're doing it. It's functional, and it's useful because they're ahead in counts. And, yeah, they had a stretch of 4 or 5 games where they got beat up a little bit, and they missed the strike zone badly against Prairie View in the midweek. But what we've seen with guys like Aschenbeck and Prager that are always in the strike zone is they are going to dictate the tempo. They get up in the count, you get in the box quick. All right, we're going to sit here and wait.
Yeah.
You're on my time, brother.
But the new age of baseball, the infield is not falling asleep on it. They've all adjusted to it.
Yep.
And because you do it every single guy when you're ahead of the count and it's all the time, that is their rhythm. When I watch an infield go down at the same time and get in ready position and it's everybody out there, I know that a team is in rhythm, whether it's fast, whether it's slow, they're locked in and nothing is going to surprise them when the ball gets let go.
All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. I do want to ask you guys about Braden Montgomery on the other side. We got to go deeper into Gavin Grohovic, and there's a couple other things I want to get to if we can do that in the last few minutes of the baseball bunch here on TexAgs Radio. We'll come back in 2 and 2. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Alpha Paving brought to you this road show. Baseball bunch guys are still in studio. And gentlemen, I'm not going to give too much of what Bronny posted earlier this morning on the boards, because I think that's, but it's interesting. You had a bunch of smart people in the back figuring out the distance of Gavin Grohovic's grand slam last night, and let's just say it was quite impressive.
Shout out to Callie Gardner and Matthew Dawson. Matthew Dawson, with his engineering background, actually constructed a formula that he thought would give us the estimated outcome, because TrackMan didn't track the distance. It got the 110-mile-an-hour exit velocity and the 28-degree launch angle. So the folks in the back played with those numbers a little bit. It's going to be probably around 460 feet, which if you were in the ballpark last night, That would have been about my guess.
I was told there'd be no math, but it certainly checks out.
Yeah,
excellent job, Matthew Dawson.
My daughter tried. She put in a formula, and it was 638. So I wanted to go with 638, but she, and I know this isn't right, but it felt like 638 in the ballpark.
Well, Texas A&M students are very lucky the Student Rec Center is still standing.
Well, what a start for Gavin Grahovic's SEC career. Homers twice in Florida, homers twice last night. Look, they're not all going to be like this, but I said a couple of weeks ago that there's more power coming. Like me and Richard watch, and you too, Scotty, we watched so many of those fall practices and some of those pre-spring scrimmages, and he was hitting balls out to right field. Then he'd hit a ball out to center field. Then the next bat, he hit a ball out the top of the foul pole in left field. And it's like, this kid is just different. If he swings at the pitches that he can do damage with, and that's part of just staying in the batter's box and learning, and he's done a great job with it. But if he controls the strike zone like he can, he's got a huge future here in the game of baseball.
I said it last night. You've got the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year and Freshman All-American. You got the SEC Freshman All-American as a junior. Then you have Jace as a sophomore, who I thought he should have been, National Freshman of the Year. I liked his numbers in SEC play better because he got out of what hasn't happened to Gavin, his struggles in non-conference when people wouldn't throw to him. And then you go to this year. There are not any other team in the country that stacks that up 1, 2, 3.
They're first rounders.
Yes.
All three of them are first round picks.
There are great players and great lineups in the SEC and around the country. You're not going All-American, 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 and 3 spots like A&M runs out there on a nightly basis.
We talked to Gavin last night post-game because he had 2 home runs, talks to the media post-game, and Kendall Rogers was here. And he turned to me after Gavin finished talking and said, doesn't look like a freshman.
No, I mean,
looks like a big leaguer already.
Well, and we need to talk about this, Dave, before we get out here. I know we're up against the hour break, but the remainder of this series, just because you won last night, I think this is about to be a very different series with the wind turning around. And it plays much more into the style that Mississippi State wants to play offensively. Small ball, run the bases. We know that this ballpark becomes cavernous with a north wind. So, and A&M, big boppers, can run the ball out of the yard with anybody in the country. I think the plan and approach against the remainder of the Mississippi State staff, most notably, I think against Jurangelo St. Jude tomorrow, could be a huge factor on what happens for the remainder of this series. Look, everybody walked out of the ballpark last night. The vibes were really high. That it wasn't a packed house because of the weather, but it was rowdy, and the fan base left in a really good mood. But that doesn't mean anything for today. You're only as good as your next day starting pitcher. So what does Tanner Jones do today in terms of attacking the strike zone? And then what did the Aggies do in terms of their offensive plan in a north wind day?
Top 3 in the Mississippi State lineup last night, 3 for 13 with, I believe, 8 Ks. They did a great job of holding him down last night. I don't know if you're going to be able to contain him for all 3 games, so I expect some kind of bounce back from Dakota Jordan and company.
Well, Stephen, tonight for them, a 5 ERA. They nearly won the middle game last week. It was 9-8 LSU late, or they would have had a sweep last week. But there's still a potential for a lot of runs because I think A&M can hit it. Those 3 guys can hit it out of any ballpark, whether the north wind's blowing or not.
Well, I like them moving Jackson Appel up to the 4-hole. One of the big stories, the reason why A&M was able to get that big run inning is because what the bottom of the order did. Teddy Burton single. Hayden Schott, I thought, had a good night last night. Hit the ball hard after kind of waffling for about a week or so. And then Ali Camarillo hits the ball hard. And you just keep moving the line. When you hand the baton to Grahovic, Lavalette, and Montgomery with men on, that is the perfect recipe for this A&M offense and this A&M team to win games.
Have fun in Memphis, Poppy.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you very much. Good stuff there from Richard Zane, Scott Clendenin, and Ryan Brauninger. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Remainder of the hour. We're in Memphis, so we're going to talk some basketball. All right, we're going to have Mark French at 10 o'clock. We're going to have some locker room sound. We're going to have Justin Lanham. We're going to have the Hop Daddy all here in the studio here in Memphis, Tennessee. We'll hit a break. We'll come back in a few with all your basketball talk to get you ready for A&M versus Nebraska. It's TexAgs Radio. Welcome back in. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. This TexAgs Roadshow brought to you by Alpha Paving. More on them here in a moment. I feel bad. Mark French, our guy, he, we had to do an interview. And the interview is kind of a big deal. Billy Liucci continued on at 9 o'clock, so we pushed Mark here to the 10 o'clock hour, and he joins us here on the hotline. Mr. French, how are you, sir?
Hey, guys. Good morning. I'm going to have a word with Billy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He takes precedent always. So,
no, it was good.
Glad to be here.
We had to get some football talk in here and some baseball, but happy to talk to you. So where do we want to start things off here, Mark? Because I think, you know what, let's do this. Let's start off with what we saw in the NCAA tournament for a moment, because that Kentucky, I don't even know if collapse is the right way to phrase it, but I think we're in a different world of college athletics, but especially when we talk about basketball. Before NIL, before the transfer portal became such a thing, I always would believe in these teams that were more established with more senior leadership for every once in a while. But I feel like we're moving in a direction like teams that are built like that now for sure will have the upper hand with these young freshman phenom teams. Am I onto something there?
There's no doubt. And, I think for a long time, March Madness has been determined by, older players. And you look at teams that, get past, kind of that round of 32 Sweet 16 threshold. A lot of them are very experienced. And, one of the things I took away, I was listening and reading John Calipari's press conference after last night. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him in bluegrass country, but that was one of the first things he said. He said, we got 19-year-olds playing 23, 24-year-olds. And he said, I'm going to have to rethink this whole thing. And despite me helping a ton of kids, at some point, he's going to have to help himself and go on a deep run. And so I think the game's completely changed. I think high school recruiting is just going to become a minor league system, except for the top 50 kids each year. And I think it's just going to be absolute madness in terms of, transfer portal and NIL kind of shifting the tides to, you want to go get those older players. And there is a big difference between a guy who's 22 years old and a guy who's 18, 19 years old. And it also means more to those kids, right? If it's their last time to ever be in March Madness, you're going to see them leave it all out on the floor. And so I think across college hoops, just to summarize, there's going to be a massive shift to the elite older talents that may not be pure NBA prospects. They're actually going to be more coveted because they can take you on a deeper run in March.
Follow me on this, because I think there's two things that come up when you say that. First off, to me, the way Buzz Williams creates a team, it bodes well for the future. I'll pause after saying that and say, but because of the portal, I don't know if we're going to see teams like this established as often unless they're at a small place, because that's what people are going to do. You start doing really well at the smaller school, and then a bigger school is going to take you. So it does not allow for that to continue, or in some situations it won't allow for it.
Yeah, Buzz is and his staff are so unique in that I think they'll be an outlier in a good way in terms of roster retention. And you look at talking about building a culture, but having guys that stick around a couple years because they're so selective about who they allow into the program in terms of character, in terms of what they call OKGs, our kind of guys. I think they kind of filter through a lot of the noise that other programs are going to have to deal with. They do that on the front end. And so I do think A&M will be unique, and I think it's a really good position to operate from. We're in a world where you could see, Solo, Andy, Wade, all these guys could be back, man. Like Boots was a senior. There's a couple others, but I mean, A&M's in a beautiful situation now, making the tournament 2 out of the last 3 years. Really should be 3 out of the last 3 years, right? With the snub 2 years ago, and you also have a ton of roster retention potentially coming back. So really exciting times for the Aggies.
We're talking to Mark French here on TexAgs Radio. So let's talk about the trajectory of this program. It should be 3 straight years of the NCAA tournament. I say that because in my heart, I really do believe it. That being said, they're in 2 years in a row. They've established a nice culture. They've got some issues that I'd really like for them to come up with a better offensive philosophy. But right now it's working.
Yeah, no, I mean, the offense is working. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here with the video, but the offense it's been really good. And you talk about Buzz was talking about we can't win the beauty contest. I mean, I was looking at it, man, we just scored 90 points. 100. We're cracking on the 100-point door, and sorry, this darn computer. I don't know what's going on, but they've had just some unbelievable offensive outbursts, right, on big stages, and so I think it's in there, and I think it's just a matter of leaning into it and saying, I don't care who we play. Yeah, we can put up points, man. And Boots and Wade and the whole gang. I mean, Solo's made such a big jump in terms of just finding his spot, scoring. It's really exciting, man. It's been a great evolution, and you can see the growth that's occurred, and that's really cool.
Mark, I want to go back to that because I think that's such an interesting point, because 90 points is absolutely enough to win a game. Right. And the reason that they lost that game could be defense, right? Or is defense. But I think two things can be true. You could score 90 points and the offense can still struggle, because when they struggled, it was at such an inopportune time that's kind of what we've seen from this team. They go on these droughts, and there's significant droughts several times this year. So yeah, they were able to get enough points to win because they had such a good first half. But when the offense does fail them, it certainly does fail them.
Yeah, I think that's college basketball, though. It is a game of runs, but it's also a game just of kind of confidence in terms of, when you see some shots going, it's a waterfall effect, man. Like you can, if Wade's hitting, then suddenly Manny starts hitting, and it's just a kind of a tidal wave effect in college basketball a lot of times. And A&M's certainly been on the right side of that, and I think that's not exclusive to A&M in terms of if there's a drought. That's exclusive to all these teams that are in the tournament for the most part. It's just a matter of being hot and kind of pacing yourself throughout the game. That's one thing I think on the big stage I want to see Wade. That's one last step maybe in the maturation process is, I'm not saying don't come out and be aggressive, but I'm saying leave enough in the tank to where you can go the distance. Not in terms of just playing minutes, but in terms of stressing out the defense. With his offensive prowess, you got to leave a little bit of juice in the tank, right? And I think they'll do that, and that's something that they're learning. And the ability to have Manny in the rotation now to kind of offload some of the burden on Wade has just been huge. It's been the turning point of the season, really.
Talking to Mark French here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So here's something that I think we need to consider, Mark. You've got two teams that have really good guard play, but one group of guards has a lot more experience in these tournament games than the other. And when I say more experience, the NIT to me counts in tournament experience. One game in the NCAA tournament to me counts as part of it. Nebraska's they've got experience in the Big Ten tournament, and I'm not sure what their NIT experience has been, but this is going to be the first for them.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And the other thing I would say is that A&M has 3 straight years of high-quality SEC tournament experience, right? And so you're talking about 5. You're playing, 3 or 4 games each year where you're at really the peak level of competition, right? And then you also throw in the NIT. They played 3 or 4 games there, and then an NCAA tournament game. Collectively, you're talking over the last 3 years with this core, you're talking about, 15 plus games where it's on the biggest stage in a March Madness type environment. And I think it really bodes well. Again, having older guards is always crucial. We've talked about this, but also think having guards that have something to prove and a team that has an edge. I think this team is really intent on locking in on this game. And so I'm just so excited to watch. And obviously Nebraska's talented too. They have what they're calling him the Asian Steph Curry, and his highlights are unbelievable. A last name Tominga, but I'm really looking for Wade to kind of cement himself. Boots, same thing, and then Manny. That 3-headed monster is really cool to see where the guard position has evolved into over the last couple of years.
Did you see him hitting the behind the back shot yesterday at their shoot around from half court?
I didn't. Was it really cool?
I mean, the guy can hit shots. There's the reason they call him the Japanese Steph Curry. I mean, he actually plays like him. Like you watch how he moves and the way he shoots off of 1 foot sometimes and attacks the lane. Like there are a lot of similarities to him.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a guy you're going to have to key in on, right? And, especially in March Madness, it's like there's these certain players on each team. So, like, Manny's kind of like this for us, right? Where they can swing the game. They're not the main scorer, but they're capable of a scoring outburst. You saw this, South Carolina struggled with this. The Oregon kid had 40. But, like, for us, it's probably Manny or Solo. Like, if they go and get 15+, like, it just changes the whole dynamic, right? And so for Nebraska, this is a kid we want to keep under 15, under 12. We really want to key in on. We don't need him going for 25 because that's what boosts the rest of the roster's confidence. And so kind of cutting the head off the snake's really important.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Why do you think Andy Garcia has got to have the best game of his career?
Yeah, so this is something we were texting about. I just think, like, I've felt Andy's presence the last few games, and obviously we've talked about how important he is to the entire makeup of this team, identity-wise, and also production-wise. But the reason I said Andy Garcia needs to have his best game of his career is that I think on the NCAA tournament, there's a level of energy and tenacity that's needed to just kind of overwhelm an opponent. And I think it starts and ends with him when it comes to us. And if him and Solo kind of combine and just kind of, we can kind of bully them a little bit and set the tone, I think it'd be huge. And I think Andy has another level he can go to. And I think he's been so good, but I do think there's even more to develop there. And that's something Coach Roccaforte and I talked about it at one point earlier this season. Is like, God, he's been so good. And Coach Rock was like, no, but there's so much more there. Like this, like Andy could be so special. And I think on this stage, right, the brightest of lights, this is his opportunity to say, hey, I'm more than a rebounder. And now the whole country is going to see the type of impact I have on games that don't always show up in the box score, but diving on the floor, the assist, the tap outs, his scoring, he can shoot. We've seen him hit some threes. I just think Andy, to me, him and Manny are the X factors because I feel really comfortable about what I'm going to get from Boots and Wade. And so if we're going to make a run at this thing, then I think I circle Andy, I circle Solo, and I circle Manny, and that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, I certainly see that, and to have one of those performances that we saw earlier on the season, he's been so consistent, but to have one of those 16, 17 rebound games would be great. What do you think about Trev Albers? And, there's multiple different ways you can look at it. The easy way to look at it is, all the matchups against Nebraska with men and women, but just how you think his involvement in the athletic program will maybe affect or help the basketball side of things.
Yeah, no, I think it's so crucial and it's so important for him to get in there and build a relationship with Buzz and really the whole staff. I think Bjork was really good. Bjork was always really good to me. I do think that there's been a tendency at A&M, and probably rightfully so, to be so focused on football. I remember when Scott Woodward held he was just always so focused on football, right? And the day we let go of Coach Kennedy, he came in and he actually was like, we're going to make a move and we're going to be letting go of, and I think he said Sumlin, and he said, no, I mean Kennedy. And you could just tell that whenever he was around, his mind was on football. You know what I mean? And I think Bjork did a really good job of coming around from time to time. But I think having an athletic director that kind of pulls everyone together and says that A&M is a brand and we're all branches on that tree and we all need to succeed. And I think that's been really cool. And I love that, apparently Elko has a group text with Buzz and Slosh and Joni Taylor and everyone. I like to see the continuity. And I think what you're seeing is the trickle-down effect of our new president, who is apparently, by all measures, just an incredible leader. And you're seeing that trickle down to the athletic director decision, and you're starting to see some continuity develop in terms of internally with the coaches. And that's, you got to have alignment. We talk about it, but A&M's had a lot of turnover at not just ADs, but presidents, and it's time for some stability. And I'm really excited about Elko. I think he brings a stabilizing presence. I think the basketball program is stabilized and in a great, really healthy spot. I think baseball, obviously, in a great spot. And so I think Alberts is walking into a beautiful situation where he can just kind of mold that even further, kind of into what his vision is and what all of our vision is. And that's, eventually we got to get some trophies in these big three sports. And so I'm really excited.
Mr. French, if A&M is successful against Nebraska, and let's just say they're successful against the University of Houston, are we going to see you in the Metroplex for the Sweet 16?
Oh, there's no doubt. I am already looking at it, and I think Duke could be a potential opponent. Oh, man, I'm so fired up. You have no idea. I was up last night. My roommate, Connor Schwartz, and I, he's a huge Aggie, works in commercial real estate here, and we were just talking for like 2 hours about the whole possibilities thing. And anyways, definitely. And I can't be in Memphis this weekend. Obviously, I grew up there and very plugged in. And, I sent you some food recs. And anyways, I'm really excited for the guys. And if they make it to Dallas, I hope we sell out the entire arena in maroon. And we really root these guys on to the first ever, would that be an Elite Eight if we were to get by that game? So, anyways, I'm excited. Let's get this first one tonight and then see where it goes, okay?
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Gig 'em. Bye.
Gig 'em. Hey, I think we have Kay Naegeli in studio. Am I right about that, Nick?
Does she need to be?
I thought we were going to do Around Aggieland, but it's all right. All good. We'll figure out a place to do that at some point, maybe in the last segment of the show. Let's do this. Let's talk Heritage Films. My friend Chance McLean runs that company. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, and it's a great company. And I sound like our former president, but it is great. Like he does stories of families, and I think those stories are the ones that we want told. We want it to be preserved, but we take it for granted, right? We take some of these stories for granted. And I'm telling you, as somebody who's done a heritage film, there are so many stories my dad has told me and my brother, and I remember them. I do, but I don't remember them the way he remembers it, right? Because he lived it. I heard it several times as a kid, right? The street he grew up on, the high school he went to, things that are important to me, right? And then when I try to retell it to my kids, I have a hard time telling them the exact story. And that's why Heritage Films is so great. They tell people stories, family business, family ranch, family, whatever, right? It's they can be an eye in the sky at a great event. That's what Chance does with his 2-hour documentaries through a Heritage Film. You can do that for your family. You can also do the Year Flicks, which is a Q&A, 20 minutes. Get to know your kids in a different way. You know the answers, but do you really? And have fun with it with some cool pictures, green screen. He does an amazing job. Benchmark videos. Find out what they're into in 6th grade. Find out what they're into in 9th grade. And then freshman year of high school, college, whatever, right? You put it all together. You have this 4 or 5-part series. He's amazing. And Chance's phone number is 713-893-8341. He will answer that number. He'll talk to you about anything. Star Wars, politics, Aggie football, you name it. 713-893-8341 or go to yourheritagefilm.com. It is yourheritagefilm.com. Well, hello, everyone. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner, Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. This roadshow brought to you by our good friends at Alpha Paving. Justin Lanham with us. Brandon Leone, is he a hard boss to work for?
I mean,
you can be honest.
You know,
he's not listening.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brandon. I mean, he's just such an unlikable guy, and you know, it's just
actually he's the most likable guy I know.
That's
like I can't even joke about it. He's so likable.
He is. He's one of the best. Seriously,
he's great. Hey, and thank you guys for sponsoring this road trip. I think we've had some really great coverage. We're there, and I'm watching. In fact, I tweeted about it. Anderson Garcia when Boots is warming up, and he's saying "Botas." Which means boots, by the way. I bet you know every time he'd hit a three, and it's just it was just cool to see that. That's one thing. Look, there are certain things we can be critical of.
Sure.
I think Buzz's best trait is the players he brings in. I genuinely like. I root for them. And by the way, you could say the same thing about Schloss, Elko, Joni.
Sure,
we're very blessed at this university, but like this basketball team, I genuinely enjoy talking to Henry Coleman.
Sure,
I genuinely like talking to Anderson. I genuinely like all these guys, and it's been fun to watch them.
Absolutely, we were actually talking about that at dinner last night about just how likable this team is, you know, and how easy it is to root for them, and so that obviously makes you, you know, obviously being an Aggie, you want these guys to win, but whenever you have likable guys and it just makes it even that much better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's because Hop's going to join us here in the next segment. Let's kind of go through some of these games last night, because I know you and OB texted me at the exact same time because we had just gotten back from dinner. Put on the Kentucky-Oakland game now, and I think there was 2 minutes left, and I feel like a loser watching the last 2 minutes, but it was amazing.
What a crazy game. Golke, the amount of threes that he hit, 10 threes in the game. Crazy stat about him. He's only taken 8 twos all year. That's crazy. So
8 threes?
No, 8 twos.
Oh,
he's
8
only,
twos.
Yeah, he's only taken 8 twos all year, which is crazy. But I felt like Kentucky had kind of a big mistake late in the game. They left the corner. They had a drive kind of in the outer third and kind of a straight lane, you know, penetration drive, and they left the guy wide open in the corner, and so they went up by 4 there, and it was just too much for Kentucky to overcome. So that was definitely a crazy game.
South Carolina kind of got beat up by somebody they know quite well.
Yes, Kusnard, who had played for South Carolina, transferred to Oregon. He had a crazy game. I think he went for 40, which is a NCAA tournament record for Oregon there, and for an individual player. Yeah.
What happened to Texas Tech?
Man, I think they got beat up inside a little bit. The DJ Burns kid for North Carolina State, big old kid. They had him and the Middlebrooks kid from North Carolina State that really got inside and just kind of punished them in the paint. So that was a little bit too much to overcome. But man, props to Grant McCaslin for kind of getting Texas Tech back and going. Everybody I think thought that they would probably miss out on the tournament this year, you know, with it being his first year, but he got them back to the dance, and props to him. So
I don't remember. It might have been that matchup there. No, maybe it was the Michigan State one, but there was an 8-9 upset. And by the way, 8-9 upsets are very common because we're talking like the same level of team. But what seed is Texas A&M?
Texas A&M is a 9.
What seed is Nebraska?
They're an 8.
All right, so we've already had an 8-9 upset, if you want to call it an upset. I just kind of wanted to go through some other ones out there. 2023, we had 2, Auburn upset Iowa. FAU, we know what they were able to do. They upset, guess who? Memphis. Where are we?
Memphis, baby.
There we go. We're good at finishing these sentences. That's right. The year prior, Memphis, again, they upset Boise State. What happened to Boise State?
They lost.
There you go. I wasn't playing a joke on you. I know that you've been around me enough now. Where's the Nuño joke coming?
Yeah, that's right.
2022 also, there was 3 that year. TCU beat Seton Hall. Again, Creighton beat San Diego State. San Diego State, by the way, last year went all the way to the
San Diego State went all the way to the Final Four.
Yep, there you go. So again, we're talking about 8-9s, and you see a theme here. A couple of these teams have gone very far there.
That's right.
2021, Wisconsin beat UNC. You had in 2019, UCF beating VCU. These are all 8-9 upsets. Baylor beating Syracuse in 2019. Oklahoma beating Ole Miss in 2019. And Washington beating Utah State in 2019. That's as far as I'm going to go.
Man.
But an 8-9 upset, not a big upset. That being said, it does pave the way for an interesting run if A&M's able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously getting U of H next, that would be interesting. But I think it just shows you too just how small the margin of error is in these games. I mean, you're seeing it. And so whenever you have teams that are pretty evenly matched, especially at that 8 and 9 spot, I think, you know, that margin of error is just so small. And so I think the line today is what are they, 1 point favorite, I believe, right now. And so it just shows you just, I mean, even when Vegas is predicting that, just how the margin of error is just so small.
Take me inside of a coach's mindset. You're taking on a team that shoots a lot of threes, right? They don't really have an interior presence. What does A&M potentially do wrinkle-wise to kind of affect how Nebraska gets into their offense?
Yeah, I think you just have to be extremely physical with them. I think that's the biggest thing for me. And they set a lot of screens, a lot of handoffs. I think you got to be there on the catch. You know, we can't be late to somebody catching the ball, especially Tominaga. You've really got to be there whenever he catches. So being physical, and look, I think the biggest thing is be as physical as the refs will allow. So right out of the gate, kind of see how much the refs are going to let you play. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing is you just got to kind of fill it out. And sometimes the refs are blowing the whistle early, and you realize, hey, you know, we're about to get in foul trouble. So I think just being really physical with them and not allowing them to get into sets and what they want to do.
Justin, you were at shoot-around yesterday, and those shoot-arounds, it's not a real practice, right?
Right.
It's more loose, and it's for the fans and for the media to get our B-roll and just kind of see. But I think you can look into body language. I think you can look into how loose they were, and they were loose last year.
Yep.
But I was talking to somebody who said, yeah, that we were loose, but there was something kind of missing last year. And this year, what he was telling me was like, they just got a different kind of vibe to them going into this game.
Well, yeah, you know, they definitely were loose. I would say they were more loose than Nebraska. Nebraska kind of came into that practice session. I felt like they kind of got straight to business. It felt like a little bit. A&M was a little bit more loose, but not in a bad way. Sometimes that gets taken out of context.
Yep.
Oh, they're not ready to play. I just think that the culture that they have, and you know, I really think those guys really enjoy each other. You can tell they really enjoy being each other's teammates and pulling for each other. And so, you know, again, loose, but not in a bad way.
Let's do this. I want to hear from some of those guys before we bring on Hop, because I did several interviews yesterday in the locker room, and you get to see a little bit of their personality. So we're just going to play a little chunk from those interviews from yesterday, and then we'll hit a break and bring on Hop. Here's locker room access yesterday here from Memphis.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Born ready. Stay ready. Won't have to get ready.
I'm really curious about how I've always known the potential. We saw it last year. We saw glimpses this year. But now you put it all together, offensively, defensively, energy. You know when to rein it back. You know when to go all in. What's been that process like?
Just me and Coach Buzz having a lot of conversations, just him saying, for the team to be where we know we can be, I have to take that next step, offensively and defensively. And, you know, it kind of took me a while this year to get to it, but as of late, I feel like I've been playing my best basketball.
How does Buzz communicate that to you guys? Because he gives you so much love, so much motivation, and it translates, especially at the end of seasons.
He's kind of different with a lot of the other guys. You know, he'll pull boots to the side. He'll coach me and Ford more out loud in front of the team.
But I was just talking to Manny. He's like Mo. He's like best point guard in the country, which means one of the best guards in America, the best players in America, Wade Taylor. Your teammates think that. The city thinks that. The country thinks that. What do you think?
It's a blessing. Can't thank him enough for believing in me that much, for trusting in me that much. And I just try to go about it every night and try to show him it's true.
So let's talk about Manny's emergence there in the lineup. I feel like it's kind of freed you up to do what we're used to seeing you do.
Yeah. Manny's got an unbelievable story. Just happy to be here. That's all I really have. I'm just happy to be here, man. The emotions are very raw. It means a lot for us to be here. We're gonna show it and we'll play.
About a month ago, and there's documented proof of this, I said they need to get Manny Olbasky the ball more because he is a difference maker, and I said it on the air. You've been doing it, man. What's it been like?
I appreciate that. It's been fun. First of all, I'm blessed. Above anything else, I'm blessed from God. I'm blessed with the program that I'm here, that I'm playing with, for the coaches, for my teammates, and the work is showing. Just been able to take it one day at a time, calm myself down, slow down, and just do what I've done ever since I was little.
Was it frustrating? Because it didn't seem like it for you, like waiting for your term. In freshman year, you're getting a lot of minutes, and then sophomore, there were some injuries, obviously, in between. and you just stayed patient, it seemed like.
Yeah, that's my mantra, just keep going. I got it tatted on me. I got it right here. And it just means just no matter what, no matter how hard it is, no matter how easy it is, you keep going, never satisfied, show up every day, and watch what happens.
Well, I saw the celebration when you guys got in. Everybody was excited, but you kind of jumped out on the video that I saw when the announcement was made for you, making it back-to-back years. You know what it felt like when you first got to this program. You guys got so close. What does all of this mean?
It means a ton. I think this is what, when you're growing up, when you're in the driveway, when you're trying to take last-second shots by yourself, this is what you dream of. You dream of making it to the tournament. You dream of being on the big stage. And so, we're excited for that. We know that there's a lot of work that has to be done still if we want to stay playing in the tournament. It's hard to get in the tournament, but it's even harder to stay in the tournament. So we know that it's a difficult road, that we're going to have to play our best basketball, our most disciplined basketball over the next 72 hours.
How close are you to being as healthy as you've been? Because I know you had a little bit of an injury situation. You're playing again. You're looking good. Are you almost back?
Yeah, I'm almost back healthy. Thank you for Dr. DeStefano and Eddie Binion, head athletic trainer, that have moved a lot of mountains for me to get back healthy.
All right, there it is. Henry Coleman and the rest of the guys, Manny Obaski, Wade Taylor, and of course Solo. Good conversation with those gentlemen yesterday. Check out the rest of that as a premium subscriber at TexAgs.com. We're going to hit a break right now. We're talking Costa Vida. You know about them. When you go to South College Station, you see the big water tower that everybody loves. You got to stop by there at Costa Vida and say hi to Holly and the gang out there. But that's not the only place you can get your Costa Vida on. You can get them there at Olson Field, right down the third base line. And they've got a nice little menu there at the concession stand, which includes chili lime chicken, sweet pork burritos, chili lime chicken and sweet pork baja bowls, chips and queso, key lime pie, and for cooler weather. And you're still going to get some cooler weather, guys. Mexican hot chocolate. They're so awesome there. And when you go to the store there in South College Station, they got the home run combo out there, a favorite of Jace Lavalette and number 12, Ryan Targach. That home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchiladas smothered in house-made queso, rice and beans, and a large drink, all for $11.99. What a great value. Go there. You'll check it out. They got pictures of Jace and of Targo in the blue Costa Vida baseball jersey. You want to certainly check it out. It is the place to go when you're hungry there for some Tex-Mex, or excuse me, Fresh Mex, I should say, in South College Station. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Again, 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. Aggie owner operated. Go say hi to Holly out there at Costa Vida. Hey everyone, welcome back into TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in our Rollo Insurance Studio in Memphis, Tennessee, downtown Memphis, I should say. And this roadshow is presented by Alpha Paving. Our good friends there, Justin and Brandon Leone, bringing us this awesome coverage out there. And now several worlds are colliding. David Sandhop, the Hopster, is here with us. Hop, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. I've missed the rowdy Husker fans so far. I'm still safe.
Well, you mentioned something to me. I've been here for a couple days. I'm waiting for these rowdy Husker fans. You were telling me a buddy of yours said that they're kind of loud last night, huh?
Well, I came in. They were drinking heavily, and they were smack talking. I went upstairs. He stayed down there, and he said they were getting into trashing College Station. They were, saying personal things about Wade Taylor. They were
personal things about Wade Taylor.
Oh, yeah, just the whole smack talk. And so and you see them all around. I mean, they're everywhere. They will have an advantage in the arena today. But they're still, I think, upset with the Trev Alberts thing, the Bill Byrne thing, the whole, and they haven't won an NCAA tournament game, so they're pretty jacked up. Now that could go for them or against them in this game.
It absolutely could. So Justin and Hop, let's get into how we think the crowd can affect this game. Will it affect this game? A&M played U of H, Hop, at Toyota Center, and that was mostly a U of H crowd. I think U of H fans are I wouldn't say rowdy, but they certainly support their team. How do you think that plays a factor today here in Memphis?
Well, I think it won't hurt A&M. A&M has a bunker mentality, and it is the NCAA tournament. And while there will be a lot of Nebraska fans, they won't dominate the atmosphere, but they will be heard. But A&M always seems to have that bunker mentality. I think it almost actually helps A&M because, these Nebraska players, they're going to hear their fans. They know the burden of if we could only get them this NCAA win. And so to me, I see early in this game is going to tell a lot what's going to go on, because if they get off to a slow start or if they get off to a hot start, that could really carry them up or down either way.
Justin?
Yeah, I think the only thing that concerns me with having the amount of fans that they're going to have here for A&M is the fact of Nebraska shoots so many threes that, man, if they're hitting threes at the beginning, sometimes how it is, the crowd just gets so loud off of a big three or multiple threes, and so you hope that you can keep that to a minimum at the beginning of the game. So if we can do that and you can quiet a crowd, I think that quieting a crowd can go a long way for the Aggies.
All right, I want to ask you both, and we'll start off with you, Hop. Something I asked Billy at the top of the show. What can they not do? And we'll do what do they have to do, but what can they not do against Nebraska?
Well, there's a lot, but I'll go with live ball turnovers. Nebraska is very good in transition fast break points. Can't get those turnovers where our guards go into traffic, lose the ball, and it's going the other way fast. To me, that's number one. Number two, I think they can't, and I don't think they will, but they can't get set and, hey, we're going to go by the metrics. We're going to let them shoot perimeter corner shots, because as we saw last year, is if a team gets hot and you still say, well, eventually those averages are going to come down, they may not. So, and I do think that there's some advantages A&M has inside. And so I would, if they start hitting threes, I would definitely, they can't stay in. They need to go out and really expand the perimeter on their defensive perimeter.
Justin, I know you got 3 takeaways for us, keys to success, I should say, to get this team through this matchup against Nebraska.
Yeah, I think I kind of touched on one of them earlier. Just be physical. You have to be really physical on screens, coming off screens. I would say, with that too, I don't want us to switch a ton. I think sometimes we're late when we switch on guys, and if you're late against Tominaga, Mast, any of those guys, they're going to get a shot up from 3. So that's number one. Number 2, win the rebound war, obviously. But I think one of the things that factors into that too is make Tominaga have to rebound the ball. And what I mean by that is a lot of the times Buzz has his designated get back guys. Whoever Tominaga is guarding, I want to send that guy to the glass and make Tominaga have to rebound the ball. Number 1, because possibly get him into foul trouble. And number 2, whenever he's rebounding, he's not able to run in transition. Right. And they'll keep him down there, I think, is a big part of it. And then lastly, don't be stagnant on offense. You watch Nebraska defensively, they're like you remember those like championship productions where like coaches would get like the videos and watch like the championship production stuff. like Nebraska defensively, when they're helping and when they're really solid defensively, I feel like they're like a championship production, like getting into gaps. And so we can't be stagnant. We've got to get downhill and make the extra pass, but not necessarily make the extra pass to shoot the three, but to attack long closeouts. And if we can do that, I think that we can get Nebraska in some trouble there.
And this is one for both of you. I said earlier in the show, and it kind of goes back to your point, Justin, about the Wenaga, that I say with a Spanish accent, that beyond getting him the rebound, let's put him in some positions where he's got to defend. I don't think he's got the strength to match up with a Boots or a Manny. If you get some switches and he's the one, I think not only will you have an easy time getting to the basket, I also think you could wear him down.
Yeah, absolutely. And they don't switch a ton, but whenever we do set ball screens, if we're popping, hit the pop guy and then drive it after that and put them in compromised situations, I think is the big deal. But if he's on a Manny, if he's on a Boots, get it in the middle of the court and try to drive it and make him either foul or make him have to guard, I think is key.
Yeah, I think to me, Manny is the key. If Manny can force the action, get to the rim and score, it forces Nebraska to do some things to account for that. And that's when Wade can step into those open three-pointers. Boots can step into those open three-pointers. That's when he's most dangerous.
Offensively, one thing about this team, and it's been about this team for a while, is they go one-dimensional sometimes. How do they not go one-dimensional, Hop? I mean, is it really kind of based on the Manny matchup that you just brought up there, that if you can force some action to the rim, open up what's out there?
Yeah, that's certainly one way, and they'll do that. I think also I'd like to see a few high post entry passes and seeing some inside out. And, Solo and those guys have shown they can take it to the hole from the elbow.
Right.
And especially Solo has really been good at that in lately. So I want to see different things to move the ball, because as you said, if you don't move that defense, you're going to be shooting over somebody.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback on that. I think you're right. I think some inside out action would be great. I know we don't do a ton of that naturally, but I think if we could possibly get that, just because watching the Purdue film when Nebraska played Purdue, obviously they have Zach Edey, and so they had a ton of attention towards Zach. But if you can get the ball inside and maybe they're really over helping and then getting it back outside. And then again, there's a long closeout, or hopefully today we can hit. Look, I know we're not going to hit a ton of threes, but if we can just hit it, couple, or just really attack those long closeouts, I think is the key.
When A&M was really struggling, teams were begging A&M to shoot. Right? They set up a certain way. Is Nebraska built to do that?
Yeah, I think they can. Again, if they go, I think we talked about it yesterday. If they go to that matchup zone, I think that maybe they can force us to shoot some outside shots. But I hope and I think that we're not going to settle today, just because of our athleticism. I think we're really going to try to get to the basket today. So I don't think that we're going to settle for outside shots.
Yeah, I'm going to repeat what he says. I think the key is, I think A&M is better off the dribble. I think they're more athletic and, take it to the hole. But then, as Justin said, use that for kickouts and open shots. And I've said all season is when people were complaining about A&M's poor shooting, a lot of that was because they were taking poor shots and shooting over defenders as opposed to creating open shots. Wade Taylor can hit an open shot, and a lot more than 30% that he's averaging this year.
Sure. So a couple of weeks ago, we were saying if Buzz and company don't make it to the tournament, it'll be 5 years, one tournament appearance and not a tournament win, and his seat could be hot next year. How important is this game, now that they are in the tournament, about that seat? Because they have not won a tournament game as of right now, and hopefully that changes tonight, Hop.
Well, I'm sure that our message boards will differ. I don't think he's on the hot seat. Yes, do you want to get this off the table? Is it something, getting that win, do we need that narrative going forward? Yes. But I don't think, he's averaged 24 wins a year over the last 3 years. And I know people are frustrated with the lack of tournament wins, but you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater and because it's just, the results over the course of 4 months over the last 3 years has been a net positive.
Before you say something, that statement you just said there, I've heard it throughout the years. I've never actually visualized it until right then. Where did that start?
Same.
Do you know, Hop? Do you have the genesis of throw the baby out? What a mean parent.
No, I have not.
Okay. I've heard it before, and I was like, and then I actually visualized it when you said it. I was like, that would not be good. All right, continue on his thought on Buzz.
Where are we at again? No, I'm kidding.
The coach with the bit. No, don't do that.
Yeah. No, I would, in a sense, echo Hop with I don't think he's on the hot seat this year, but I do think as far as building, I do think that is extremely important to get this win.
I think more saying next year, will that be like a clock ticking?
Yeah.
He's absolutely fine right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, next year for sure. I mean, I think that if even I hate to say even if you get to the NCAA tournament, but we've got to start seeing some wins, and for me, it's just the building, like something to build on, something to see, almost like tangible that you can grasp almost, and so I think that's going to be big moving forward.
All right, I got to hit a break here. I'd like to come back and do a little bit more with you guys. We're going to do Around Aggieland first, and we'll finish out with some closing thoughts here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and thanks to Alpha Paving for getting us this roadshow. It's TexAgs. All right, friends, time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984, and Hop was there the day that they opened. Double Dave's pizza, serving up your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. And thanks to Alpha Paving for getting us this road show. I'm saying a lot right now. It's a NASCAR segment. Around Aggieland, presented by Norman G. State Bank. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, normangstatebank.com. And with that, Kay Naegeli.
Hop is just out here catching strays during ad reads.
Right? No, but he told me that. He actually told me he was there the day they started.
Okay,
Yes.
well
I watched. I ate the first pepperoni roll
ever.
First one.
Back with Lincoln. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh man, yeah. So we've talked a whole lot of baseball and basketball, but I do want to remind everybody, football spring practice does start today. We have that going on in College Station while y'all are up in Memphis, so we will have a lot of updates on that. Also, basketball, as we know, they will play at 5:50 on TNT if you're tuning in. And then after you watch the men's team, you're going to watch the women's team beat the hell out of Nebraska at 9:10 on ESPNU. Again, both are facing Nebraska. Great day to beat the hell out of Nebraska. Baseball, as we know, number 7 knocked off number 21 Mississippi State on Thursday night with a quality start from Ryan Brauninger and 2 home runs, including a grand slam by Gavin Grahovic, the freshman. With the win, the Aggies improved to 20-2 on the season and 2-2 in conference play, looking for the win tonight. Aggie softball also has a big series on deck. They will host Auburn. They are ranked in most. They're number 25 in most most rankings. And A&M is number 14. They will host a 3-game set that begins tonight, 6 p.m. at Davis Diamond. I believe that is on SEC Network Plus. Additionally, track and field will host the Texas A&M Invitational back at E.B. Cushing Stadium. Have not had an event there since 2022, I believe, been under construction. The field events will start at 12:30, and then the track events will start at 5:30. That is on Saturday. So a lot of Aggie sports, could be a lot of Aggie wins.
Okay, great job. Thank you so much. We've got about a little less than 2 minutes left. Can A&M win if Nebraska hits just above their number, which is, I think, 9.43 a game? Can A&M win in that scenario if Nebraska hits 10?
They can if Wade goes off.
Okay. What do you think?
They can if we win the rebound margin by, I'm going to say 8 rebounds.
So considering that Nebraska is not a great rebounding team, they're not a great rebounding team, although they're number 15, which is a kind of a weird scenario to think about. How important are putbacks going to be in this game? Hop, you tell us.
Well, it's always been important for A&M, and like I said, I think they have a +9 margin on offensive rebounds. Yeah, and I think that's where A&M, I think, recently has really excelled, and they've been good on those putbacks. Solo, I mean, he's getting banged around in there, and he finds a way to get it in. And Anderson Garcia is tough there. So the key is offensive rebounding, but then converting on the putback, and they've been good lately.
I think building on that, converting on the putback, and then if we don't convert on the putback, what are we doing at the free throw line? I think that's going to be big too.
And then last thing for you guys, can A&M win if Wade goes off, but others don't go off? Hop?
Yes. If Wade, well,
a 35-point Wade game.
As long as they're doing the things that we talk about in the equation, as long as they're winning the rebounding, as long as they're not committing a lot of live ball turnovers, yes, if they play efficiently in other areas of the game, they can win. If, say, Boots is off tonight or if Solo's off, yes, they can win.
Got about 15 seconds, Justin.
Yes, I think so. But I'll be honest, too. I really do think we're going to have a bunch of guys pitch in tonight and really contribute from multiple areas.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Hop. Appreciate you, sir. And thank you, Alpha Paving. Hopefully we have one more show here. Hopefully we have a Monday show after a great win on Sunday. That's what we're hoping for. My thanks to all of our great guests and all of you for making this happen. Thank you so much. Gig 'em, A&M. Let's take care of business against Nebraska and then hopefully the University.